W239BF Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Hey, a very good afternoon to you. Welcome on into Rochester's only local sports talk show. It's a sports bar with Danger and Battaglia. Glad you're with us and listening along at 95.7 FM, AM 950, the free-to-download Odyssey app, or watching our stream on YouTube and Twitch. Our channel's The Fan Rochester. Like and subscribe while you're there. I'm Danger. That's Battaglia.
We'll get to the Bills news of the day, and there's a little bit, I don't want to overdo it on an injury concern, but there was something today, and it's just a reminder that, hey, it's great to have these guys out there. No one get hurt. Let me just ask you the question, Danger, and I know the answer might be yes. Has there ever been a head coaching search that it's gone off to a worse start than what we have here with the New York Knicks? This from Shams Sarania, that the Dallas Mavericks have firmly rejected the Knicks' request to speak to Jason Kidd. This comes on top of the Rockets saying, no, you can't talk to Ime Udoka. The Knicks also reached out to the Timberwolves about the availability of Chris Finch. All three coaches are not going to be changing teams.
Dolan is just out of touch, right? Completely out of touch. Thinking, why can't I just get whoever I want to coach this team?
We're New York.
We're New York.
We're New York.
This is the Knicks. I'm the best owner. Yeah, just completely a complete lack of self-awareness. And they're going to end up hiring what? Like some fucking some assistant that you know is you know with Detroit or with Indiana or something like that. So yeah, I think that there's little to no plan in place, and there was little to no plan in place when they moved on from Tom Thibodeau, and here we are. You're not going to get Jason Kidd. You're not going to get Udoka. You're not going to get any of these guys.
How about Dad? Father's Day is coming up.
Dad,
Father's Day?
Sure. Why not Dad?
Yeah.
Get Brunson in there, and you got the father-son head coach and child combo. Why not? It's just a complete like out of touch, zero self-awareness ownership. And I buy into the theory that the Knicks got good again because Dolan was preoccupied with building the sphere.
The expectations went a little too high once you got past Boston. Okay, here it is. The reality is, Danger, and I kind of would draw the analogy to the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, the pain of losing that AFC Championship game, the pain of, you know, the tush pushes and Dalton Kincaid and everything going wrong in that game, they probably get clocked by Philadelphia. It was Philadelphia's year. Philadelphia plays a style that I don't know. We'll never know, but I can tell you this. How would the Knicks have matched up with Oklahoma City? To me, a lot of us took OKC in 5. We resume that tonight, and if Oklahoma City goes out and is capable of what they're doing, this series could be over soon. It still is only tied 1-1, but to me, it just seems like Indiana doesn't have much answers here.
To Buffalo Bills mini camp, we'll talk plenty about day 2. And what we learned, but first, let's set the table in the sports bar, including a conversation coming up later on this afternoon with the host of Tee to Green in the Odyssey app and our Odyssey Sports sister station, WGR in Buffalo. Brian Koziel, the pride of SUNY Brockport, stops by the sports bar at 425.
Yeah, so we will talk about, we love our golf here in Rochester, do we not? So we do have a major this week, Father's Day. You hope you get a good final when, hopefully you're going to be, with family celebrating this Sunday, and hopefully we get a final round that's worthy of it. Oakmont seems to be the course that is one that is going to punish these golfers. To hear that Rory McIlroy admitted to shooting an 81 in a practice round, seeing video today of Mickelson practicing chipping out of the rough, and he couldn't get it out of the rough. in a practice round. This is I'll ask Brian the question, like, what do you think the winning score will be? Will it be even?
I saw DeChambeau post a video of the 289-yard par 3 8th hole, where his assessment is if you're able to get par all 4 rounds, you're probably doing okay. That's not going to be an easy hole to play.
Well, and I heard Maggie make the point this morning that the common take here is, we don't want to see golfers be made to look like fools out there. But her point is, this is what makes this major unique. This is what you come to know of the U.S. Open, that there isn't another tournament like this. When it comes to Augusta National, okay, the pins may be different, but you know the winner will be somewhere around 10 under for the tournament. The British openers like to call it the Open. All right, you manage the weather, and that is the deterring factor. And the PGA seems to be straight down the middle. So to me, each of these majors has a different flavor. You know this is going to be tough. This is what the U.S. Open is known for. So just kind of in that contest going into it, that these guys, par is a good thing coming up.
Scotty Scheffler or the field? That's what I want to know from Brian, because the way he's played the last 2 seasons, and he's been just so wildly consistent. Is this the tournament where we could see Scotty Scheffler actually make a statement beyond what we've seen through his play, where he's dominant, where he actually wins going away? Is this the course? Is this the tournament where that happens? Because going in, it sure feels like Scotty Scheffler is the overwhelming favorite to win the U.S. Open. We'll get Brian on and we'll ask him about that as well.
Yeah, it's Scotty Scheffler is going to be certainly the player we're watching. Brian Colzio coming up 4 o'clock hour. We'll talk to our guy PJ Glasser, your host of Send It In on the BetMGM network. Also, PJ, you're hearing a lot now on BetMGM tonight with Noisy Huevos there, Brad Evans. He was on Monday, so we'll get PJ's thoughts on tonight's game, if there are any baseball plays. And oh, by the way, PJ also loves golf, bets golf. So, we'll look at the U.S. Open from that angle with PJ Glasser.
He is the host of Send It In, Odyssey Sports betting insider. PJ Glasser stopping by at 3:25 this afternoon. Insider calls are presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. You can call us anytime this afternoon at 866-4326-585, 866-4FAN is our phone number if you'd like to join us. Day 2 of Bill's minicamp underway. And what did we learn from today? Well, there's a little bit of a scare. I don't know how severe a scare is, and I don't want to overstate it, but Brasky was the one that I saw reported first, that Maxwell Hairston kind of getting a little look-see by trainers on his left knee.
I mean, there's no carts. There's no, I don't think anybody should be alarmed. This is Brasky's report. Rookie corner Max Harrison left the field with an apparent injury late during team drills when they minicamp. Harrison was worked on by athletic trainers, appeared to be testing the function and strength of his left knee area. And in this video, he's walking just fine, Danger. So, I mean, it's we tend to overreact just a little bit, but it is kind of just a friendly reminder. Can we get through healthy here when it comes to training camp and certainly minicamp? We don't want any starts. There was a receiver that went down in Washington today, I saw. So, you just hope everybody is healthy here.
I want to say it was Noah Brown in Washington.
That's right, yeah.
Same participation report as yesterday. Alec Anderson and Laviska Shenault also non-participants today. Spector, who didn't participate yesterday, doing a little bit more, but not involved with the team at all during teamwork. And Joey Bosa, plenty of video of him working off to the side with trainers dealing with a calf strain, but looking pretty good for having to deal with a calf strain. So again, by the time we get to training camp at St. John Fisher, I think the expectation is we're healthy. I mean, I don't even know that you're really paying attention to any lingering injuries from last year. Now, this team is going to go into training camp, I would say, as healthy as they've been in how many years? Every year it feels like you're dealing with Von Miller this or Trey White that. No, we're pretty healthy this year.
It was around this time last year we had the Matt Milano injury.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the one where
during camp.
Yeah,
right. It was during camp, and it kind of surprised us to the point where we're like, oh, man. It was right after camp broke.
That's it.
Right. Going into camp, I think we were just wondering about, Von Miller was basically the one that we were worried about. When's Von Miller? How's Von Miller doing? Is Von Miller going to be back for the last couple of seasons? And you had Trey White returning back from injuries in seasons past as well. So overall, knowing the participation today is the same as it was yesterday. A couple of additional names, but nothing so severe that you would think it would impact their ability to perform when we get to training camp.
Yeah, and I haven't heard yet if Sean McDermott called off tomorrow. I think that from all indications, and we'll keep updated, like they'll be working out tomorrow too. So, I'm totally fine with that. This is the time to get the work in. When these guys later in the year, then you can kind of pull back with a veteran team. But you're working 3 straight days in the month of June isn't going to hurt anyone.
Hey, is it a bad look for the Sabres when their GM and Kekalainen are there at Bill's practice with Terry Pegula? I mean, I guess they're there because Terry is there, and they probably got invited by Terry to come and check it out. But where we are right now with these two franchises, one going in one direction, one in the other, and with both of them needing to have their own identity, and the Sabres' identity seems to get more and more kind of blended in with the Bills. Like the Bills are the big brother that's like culturally that's not a zero, right? Like if you're a part of the Sabres organization, you maybe feel like a second-class citizen. Yet you have Kekalainen and Adams showing up. Is that a red flag to anybody, or is that just, hey, the boss wants me to be here, so I'm going to be here?
Well, fun fact, and I don't know if this is connected in any way, Danger, but so the NHL draft coming up at the end of the month, which it's always a little out of sorts, right? Season's over, and then we go right into the draft, right? And, the thing that's going to be different with the NHL altogether is everything is going to be kind of from the home base, like the NFL would do, where in years past you saw the owner, GM, head coach, everybody get up on stage. Well, it's going to feel more like the NFL now, where you're not going to have this travel cost to go into wherever. You'll have a representative there. You'll have the draft picks walking across the stage to shake the hand of Gary Bettman. The draft, by the way, this year in Los Angeles. Where I'm going with this is that the actual war room for the Sabres, did you know this? It's going to be the Bills war room.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of Bills fans saying, no, do not bring that bad karma into our building. We don't want to have it. So maybe today is just as simple as little orientation where, this is the draft room, this is how we do it, and truth be told, if you're set up for that, why wouldn't you use it?
I guess I think that I think that as the Bills continue to succeed and the Sabres continue to flounder, though, at some point the Sabres just have to be their own thing. Like, we have to kind of almost forget that the two organizations are owned by the same person and that there's some conflicts there and maybe a little bit more attention being paid to one over the other, maybe a little bit more meddling in one franchise over the other. I just thought it was an interesting note that Kevin Adams was at Bill's practice today with Jarmo Kekalainen and Terry Pegula.
McDermott went for Bill's 9th. You remember that?
Yeah.
Driving the Zambonis.
Yeah.
So it can be done. So
yeah, for sure. There's some of the notes. We also know that today, media-wise, Keon Coleman spoke to the media and, made note of his offseason, ways that he's looking to improve, recognizing he can improve his game, looking to come back this season bigger and stronger and more physical.
Yeah, when we were kind of looking at the snap counts yesterday for the running backs, Danger, that's kind of something that I found that was curious, and you could win a bar bet with this. So the running back conversation is interesting. James Cook, 44% of the snaps he took last year. Does that go up, knowing that he's in a contract year? Does it stay the same? Well, I was just curious to see who took the most snaps at the wide receiver position last year. You want to take a guess? It's actually Mac Hollins. Mac Hollins, and okay, he does a lot for the team, but he was also available all 17 weeks. The guy who was second on that was Keon Coleman. And yes, remember Shakir got dinged earlier in the year, so that's what skews it a little bit. But the idea that Keon Coleman was second in terms of snap count last year with the Buffalo Bills, they just couldn't get him going, toward the end of the season, and then you went in some other directions there. As far as players that you're hoping go year to year, taking a leap, I would say Dalton Kincaid year 2 to year 3 is the guy that, okay, you're on notice. Some would argue it's Keon Coleman because you see the ability with Keon Coleman. Can he actually do it? And do they actually line up him in the slot? Where do they put him? Coleman this year is certainly one of the players we're looking to take a jump.
So, yeah, we'll hopefully at some point here during the show this afternoon get word on whether or not they are going to practice tomorrow. We haven't heard anything, and I think there was some scheduled media availability tomorrow.
Thursday, yeah. So we would get the alert that would have been called off. So the idea that we haven't gotten that alert yet means
Maybe they got more work to do.
Anybody going to argue with that?
No, it's almost as if you do that to appease the team and to let the players go on their own way. But at the same time, how taxing have the last 2 days really been?
No, they haven't been.
Right. I mean, if it was grueling and you were out there in 95-degree heat, like we've seen it some days at St. John Fisher, yeah, maybe you cut it a little bit short. You don't have guys dropping out because of excessive heat or any of that going on at minicamp.
Well, I would say that last year you ran the 3 days because, Josh Allen was working with new pieces of the wide receiver position. We were all concerned about that this time last year. Look at the other side of the ball. Like, you're going to have new starters in there, particularly in the secondary, whether it's Harrison or Tre'Davious White. White knows the defense. I get that. Derek Forrest has made an impression, but it's not going to hurt any of those guys just to get an extra day of work in. You want them to absorb the playbook. That's really what mini camp is. So by the time you get to training camp, all right, then you're just kind of ramping up, and then also kind of sprinkling in some new stuff. I have no problem with that. I'm sure there are a few guys that would, argue. By the way, it's going to be nice tomorrow, so there's that too.
Game 3 of the NBA Finals tonight in Indiana. The Pacers and the Thunder are knotted up at 1. And we'll have PJ on with us here in less than 10 minutes to kind of share his thoughts and give us some winners for tonight's action in the NBA Finals. Gino, the thing that overwhelmingly took over my feed this afternoon is not sports related. It's music related. Okay. The passing of Brian Wilson, Beach Boy Brian Wilson, and for a lot of people who are fans of not just his work, just music fans in general, you could call this guy one of the GOATs because of how influential he was and how talented he was, throughout the course of his career.
Well, what is the Rochester sports connection to Brian Wilson? He opened up Frontier Field.
Oh, that's right.
He opened up Frontier Field. So before we had the Rhinos, before we had the Red Wings playing there, we had a concert. It was the Beach Boys. And now my tongue-in-cheek prediction won't come true that maybe that would have been the opening act for Highmark, the new Highmark. Yeah.
84, I want to say 84, 82. And now now that I need the story, I can't find it. But yeah, that's a tough one. He's an absolute legend in music, and I don't like hearing about Beach Boys passing away, but Brian Wilson passing away. We getting the word of that this afternoon, and then there's another bit of, I wouldn't call this tabloidy or gossip, but it is sports related, and it's something that we learned in the last 24 hours after Aaron Rodgers had the chance to speak to the Pittsburgh media. We have confirmation, Gino. Aaron Rodgers is a married man. Sorry, ladies, that one is taken.
I know. Wow. What a catch, that Aaron Rodgers. I know her name is Brittany. He did refer to her once, and she doesn't like to be in the public eye. Was she like Snuffleupagus? Remember Snuffleupagus? Nobody ever...
What, from Sesame Street?
Sesame Street, yeah. Like,
nobody could see him, just Big Bird?
Just Big Bird, yeah.
Was that the word on Stuffy? I thought Stuffy was seen by everybody. Just Big Bird? Only Big Bird saw Snuffleupagus? Bird.
Don't I have that correct? Like, hey, Snuffleupagus is here. Okay, Big Bird, you're making this up.
Yeah.
Nobody believed Big Bird.
Nobody questioned that Big Bird was high as a kite, hallucinating and seeing a giant furry elephant.
Well, the way Big Bird kind of walked, and
you want to know why we are the way we are? That's what we grew up on. Giant birds high as a Georgia pine, hallucinating and talking to woolly elephants. Jeez.
Aaron Rodgers married. Well, good for him. Maybe this will settle his life down. She can keep him in check and maybe pile up the wins for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Danger.
Possible. Before we get to PJ, Gino, let me quiz you because in front of me I have the top 10 players in the NFLPA's year-end top 50 player sales list. Did you see this list?
Full disclosure, I did.
Okay.
I did. So this isn't fair, but this is see if because I saw it, I don't want to participate. Who led the NFL in merch sales basically for jerseys and whatnot?
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess why I was bringing this up was I was curious to see where you thought Josh Allen fell on this list.
Yeah. I know there were 10. He was 6th. So everybody, who were the only 5 guys that were ahead of Josh Allen last year? Now, this is where part of this I remember and part I don't. The guy who led was Saquon.
Yep.
The guy who was second, Patrick Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Hurts is up there. You win a Super Bowl, you're going to sell a lot of merch. Now, this is where it kind of gets fuzzy for me. 4 and 5. I don't recall who were 4 and 5 here.
4 was rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels.
Which makes sense. If you are generations of Washington football fans had nothing to cheer for, let me go get a jersey. I could finally put something on and wear with pride after that owner. So that makes total sense to me.
C.J. Stroud, number 5 on the list, right in front of Josh Allen. Stroud, I guess, makes sense too based on the rookie season he had, even though year 2 wasn't, anywhere near as good.
But going into it, okay, we
lots
have
of
a
enthusiasm.
Yeah,
lots of enthusiasm. And then Josh Allen at 6. So there you go. Not really a surprise, except this is the first time since 2017 you've got a running back atop this list, finishing number 1. But the news of Saquon going to the Eagles, followed by the performance of Saquon last season, it's not really a surprise to see him on top of the NFLPA's year-end top 50 player sales list. PJ Glasser is the host of Send It In on the BetMGM network. He's going to give us some winners tonight in the NBA as the NBA Finals continue. Game 3 from Indianapolis. We will also talk some MLB. We will talk some U.S. Open with PJ Glasser next on The Fan.
You're listening to 95.7 The Fan, and transform those sleepy tunes into electrifying sports action. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Day 2 of minicamp for the Buffalo Bills is in the books. Quarterback Josh Allen on his goal for this camp.
The goal for minicamp is just to get loose, get back to throwing some footballs and getting on the same page with some guys. There's some few mistakes out there today, but that's to be expected. Just learning from new concepts that we're putting in and understanding different body types and guys we're throwing to, and just trying to see what guys are good at.
One more practice tomorrow, and the next time we'll see the team is at St. John Fisher University in July. Game 3 of the NBA Finals tonight. Pacers and Thunder tied at 1 game each. We'll get the thoughts of PJ Glass, your host to Send It In on the BetMGM network. PJ joining us next year in the Sports Bar. Red Wings coming off a loss by a score of 18-0. They take on Jacksonville again tonight. On the Major League scoreboard, Jays and Cardinals tied at 2 in the 4th. Braves are up on the Brewers 5-1 in the bottom of the 5th. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, The Fan Rochester.
They've raised the bar on Rochester Sports Talk. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
We got to move forward. There's a lot of things we have to do better. We realize that. I think we've lost, at least by the scoreboard, 6 out of 8 or 7 out of 8 quarters. And so we're playing a great team. And so we've got to make adjustments and we got to play better.
Indiana Pacers head coach Rick Carlisle approaching Game 3 tonight in Indianapolis. The series even in a game apiece against the Oklahoma City Thunder. We're now joined by the host of Send It In and Odyssey Sports betting insider PJ Glasser. Insider calls presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. Well, let's start with Indiana OKC, PJ, because we saw Indiana do what it's done all postseason and steal a game 1 before game 2 really thoroughly in control by OKC throughout. What's your anticipation of tonight's action?
It should be a great game, fellas. Obviously, OKC, they've been 0-7 against the spread on the road so far this postseason. So they've been winning games. They haven't been covering the spread. Indiana, meanwhile, they are 0-3 in Game 3 so far this postseason. So when the series has shifted from one city to another, Indiana hasn't responded all that great. I do like OKC to win the game. Again, the fact they haven't covered a spread on the road scares me to lay the 5 with them. So hoping that maybe Indiana gets out to an early lead, bet Oklahoma City live, but I do think the Thunder take care of business tonight.
Yeah, Halliburton's the story here, right, from the Indiana side. The fact that he took only 1 shot in the first half, and, well, if you know the game plan going in, is that a safe play if we're looking at a player prop bet tonight, one way or another here, PJ?
Gene, to me, that's what I'm watching most for tonight is Halliburton and how aggressive he is. It's been the same story the first 2 games where he really hasn't done much the first 3 quarters. And then the 4th quarter, he's done his scoring and obviously had the game winner in Game 1. I actually did take Halliburton to score 20 or more points tonight at plus 120 because we get like 1 or 2 games where he really kind of hunts his shot and is aggressive to score. And I think this is the game, right? This is a massive game for Indiana, you guys. If they can go up 2-1 in this series and put all the pressure on OKC, try and win that Game 4 to avoid going down 3-1, it's gonna really make this an interesting series. So I think Halliburton realizes that. These kind of games where the stars kind of sense like it's a big momentum game in a series, they usually are hunting their shots, and they're usually a bit more aggressive. So we know Halliburton's a great facilitator. I think the first couple games, he's been a little too passive. He's obviously struggled against this great Thunder defense. Tonight, though, I like him to score, Gene. So I would actually look over his points prop, and you can take some alt props to try and get some plus money on some of his points totals.
PJ, any other player props that have your eye for tonight's action?
Yeah, I'm going with Lou Dort over 8.5 points tonight as well. OKC, we know they're such a deep team. They obviously have a lot of really good players coming off the bench. Aaron Wiggins was a big story in Game 2. Caruso was a big story in Game 2. But, a lot of these role players we know tend to play better on their home floors. Lou Dort, I don't think it bothers him going on the road. He's obviously such a terrific defender. He's a great 3-and-D guy. He had 3 points in Game 2. He had nearly 20 in Game 1. I think he kind of gets somewhere in the middle of the night where he scores like 11 or 12. So I think 8.5 is just a bit too low. I like taking Lou Dort's over point prop as well.
So we got the NBA Finals. We've got the Cup Final. We've got we'll get to that in a second. We've got the U.S. Open teeing off tomorrow, PJ, as they're at Oakmont in Pittsburgh. What's the winning score for this? Is it going to be 3 under? Is it even par? What do we expect to see here in a course that's not going to be very forgiving?
I would expect it to be 3 or 4 under. You know, obviously there's so many videos this week. We've all seen them right of the rough and how crazy it is in these green speeds. Dustin Johnson, when he won back in 2016, was the number 1 player in the world, and he was 5 under par. There were only 4 guys that were under par that week. You know, I expect something similar where there are only going to be 4 or 5 guys under par, but I think the winning score is going to be about 3 or 4 under. So, yeah, you know, people are wondering if this is going to be a tournament where the winning score is going to be like 3-4 over. I don't think that's the case. I think the winning score, you're looking like 3 under, 4 under par.
All right, so let's talk about some of the golfers in the U.S. Open that we're going to be keeping an eye on. And, of course, Scottie Scheffler is the first name that comes to mind. I'm wondering if you like Scottie or if you're going to take the field. And is this an opportunity for Scottie Scheffler to put on a kind of performance that we haven't seen since Tiger's dominance, where we know he's the best player in the world, but he can really, really put some separation between his play and the rest of the field?
It certainly could be. I'm not betting Scottie this week, you guys, and I'll tell you why. He's obviously the best player in the world, and he obviously, it would not shock me in the slightest if he won this week. He's the heavy favorite to do so. The thing with Scottie, though, is that of the 3 majors that he's won, obviously 2 have been at Augusta, and then he won at Quail Hollow for the PGA a month ago. Those 2 courses, they play year-round on the PGA Tour, right? So we know Scottie dominates courses that he sees every year. He has not been able to win on a course that they only see every 7 years, every 9 years, every 11 years, or what it is. So until Scottie can prove to me that he can go to a place that he doesn't see every single year, he doesn't know where he can't miss it, he doesn't know where he needs to hit his tee shots, those kinds of things. Not saying he's not capable of it, but if you're betting a guy at plus 275, I mean, you better be pretty sure that he's going to win the tournament. And I think DeChambeau has a great shot this week. That's who I'm rolling with. Guys, Bryson was just, I mean, he was born to play U.S. Open golf. Like, he was made in the lab to do it with how far he hits it, with how straight he hits it, and how good his short game is as well. He's such a good putter, and he's really good with chipping as well. I mean, that's how he won at Pinehurst, you know, and he won at Wingfoot as well. 2 really difficult courses. I kind of always view, like, the Shinnecocks and Oakmonts and Wingfoots and Pinehurst as kind of like the 4 U.S. Open throwbacks. Like, that's what you think of when you think U.S. Open, high rough, tough greens, just those kind of courses. And Bryson's won on 2 of them, and I think he's going to win again this week. So if you're looking for a guy I would take, Bryson would be my pick, and I'm not doing anything with Scottie until he can prove to me he can win on one of these courses that he doesn't see every year.
Nice. PJ Glasser, your host, is Send It In. PJ, on our show, we have a joke when it comes to a best-of-7 series. If that series is tied at 2 games each, you can't say Game 5 without saying the word pivotal. It's always the pivotal Game 5. Here's where I'm going with this, because you could say in a way that tomorrow night is going to be pivotal here for Edmonton because, well, if they drop this one, Florida's going to have a chance to win the Cup on home ice and end this pretty quickly. So the importance tomorrow night for Edmonton to get their act together. Maybe they get a goalie change here. There's some, debate about that. Your thoughts here. Do you like the Oilers to pull even in this series coming up in Game 4?
I do, Gene, and I think anybody who liked Edmonton before the series, I think you have to like Edmonton tomorrow night. And I like the fact that they got just crushed in Game 3. You know, it wasn't another overtime loss or something close, 1 goal, whatever it was. I mean, they got smoked from the start of the game to the end. Obviously, it looked like a WWE brawl at times. There were so many fights and so many guys in the box, but I expect them to bounce back. I thought there would be a point in this series where Edmonton would trail, and now they're trailing 2-1. I think they're going to respond, and I think they're going to win. So I do like the Oilers plus 125 tomorrow.
PJ, we got some action in Major League Baseball happening this afternoon. Want to get your take on any of tonight's action that you might have some wagers going in on?
You know what, guys? I'm going with my O's tonight at about a pick against the Tigers. We got Zach Eflin on the bump. I couldn't for the life of me understand why they were favored last night. They're like 3-13 now against left-handed starters. Shocker, they lost again. But Eflin's been good for him so far this season. Jackson Holliday's been good here as of late. Gunner's starting to heat up a little bit. So obviously the O's being a pick 'em against the Tigers after they were favored last night. I think even more people are going to be on the Tigers tonight. But I think the O's are the right side. So I actually like my team tonight, guys. Get the win against the best team in baseball right now.
All right, PJ, and I'm going to hit you with a curveball here because I was just, reading up on some things, and I saw the odds for Maxwell Harrison for Defensive Rookie of the Year at plus 3,500. PJ, to me, that's worth a flyer. And again, in New York State, we really can't do this, but maybe somebody's heading to Vegas. Why not put a little money in there? And here's why. Because, sure, the favorite here would be Abdul Carter, but if the Bills have a lockdown corner, which we think they do in Christian Benford, it would stand to reason there's going to be a lot of volume going in the other direction. And the Bills didn't draft Maxwell Harrison just to be a serviceable guy. They drafted him to be Mr. Splash Guy, Mr. Pick Six, Mr. Let me get the ball back here. So to me, if I see those odds, PJ, that would be my square advice here, PJ. Am I on the right track for something?
I think you are, Gene, and to help with your point as well, I mean, we've obviously talked about Buffalo's schedule this season. They're going to be favored in just about every game. So in theory, they should be leading for a majority of the season, right? And a lot of teams should obviously be throwing and trailing and trying to come from behind. If that's the case and teams are trailing and they got to throw the ball, that's going to give Maxwell Harrison even more and more opportunities to get interceptions and make plays and those kind of things. So, like you said, Gene, a lot of time with futures, it's all about the price, right? I mean, certain things like you can't bet at a certain price. But 35-1 for a guy that you know is going to play this year, who's going to get opportunities to make plays, and like you said, has a good corner on the other side, so he should get some attention. I think it's a good bet. I haven't done anything personally in the Defensive Player of the Year market, Gene, but I like your look. I think Maxwell could be a guy worth taking, especially at that number.
PJ, let us know about Send It In. Let our audience know about Send It In on the BetMGM network. We're also hearing you a lot on BetMGM tonight with Brad Evans recently as well.
Yeah, Ryan's been he's been off on vacation, so I've been filling in on BetMGM tonight as well. But Send It In, my show, you guys can check 1 to 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time every Monday through Friday on the BetMGM network. You can watch us on Twitch, on YouTube. Send in live questions, live comments, and we'll get to them throughout the show. I did not do the show today, fellas, and I will not do it tomorrow because I'm actually off to Oakmont to see some golf in the U.S. Open. So I'll be out there. I'll be sure to send you a picture of DeChambeau in our text chat.
There's absolutely no way we were going to not have you root for DeChambeau going to Oakmont, PJ. I mean, that was very well telegraphed.
I appreciate that. So, I mean, look, I already liked him to begin with, but the fact that I'm going to be there, I mean, I brought my O's hat just in case. I don't know how well received that's going to be in Pittsburgh. Probably better than the Ravens hat would be, but yeah, I'll be rooting for Bryson. It should be a lot of fun. Going to be an early wake up call though tomorrow, guys. He tees off like 7:30, so it'll be a long day, but I'm excited to watch it. As you guys know, I mean, major championship golf. It's a lot of fun.
O's hat will be better received in Pittsburgh than a Pirates hat, I believe.
Yeah.
I think you're going to be okay.
BJ, you're probably right.
Appreciate the time as always, bud. Enjoy the weekend.
Yep, thanks, fellas. Talk to you soon.
There he is, the host of Send It In, Odyssey Sports Betting Insider PJ Glasser. Insider Calls presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app.
If you weren't with us in shots yesterday, so 2016 indeed was the last time this was at Oakmont for the U.S. Open. It was also there in 1994, Danger.
Right.
And
1994. I'm trying to think of where I was and what I was doing.
Well, 1994.
In June of 94.
Listen, on the date of the second round of Oakmont, they actually
round two.
It was
the U.S. Open.
It was on a Friday.
Uh-huh.
The date was June 17th.
Uh-huh. 1994?
1994. So on that night, Ken Griffey Jr. homered a couple times to become the quickest to 30 home runs since Babe Ruth.
Oh.
Okay, that's noteworthy.
Okay.
In Manhattan on June 17, 1994, you also had the Rangers celebrating a Stanley Cup. And wow, that was the first time since 1940. And there's Messier and the parade, and they're just going crazy, the Canyon of Heroes. But it wasn't the only thing going on in New York City, because you had the NBA Finals still going on at that point.
Okay.
And that was a Game 5 that none of us could watch because, well, the news interrupted.
1994, the news interrupted. What was going on June 17th, Friday, June 17th, 1994, that was worthy of note that the news would have interrupted for? I mean, it had to have been something monumental, earth-shattering, history-altering.
Generation.
Got it, Juice. When Chris and I broke up, the Juice was there for me every night.
It's like he's not really the Juice anymore.
We gotta get you dressed, Juice.
Juice, a will?
Juice. Come on, Juice. Juice! Juice, it's AC. Juice! AC's here!
Juice, I heard Juice. It's on every channel. You know I feel the same, Juice.
You're gonna tell them yourself, Juice. Juice? Juice, your whole family's here, Juice. She's on the house phone waiting to talk to you, Juice.
Juice.
Okay, Juice?
Okay, Juice, we're good to go.
You're home, Juice. You know Uncle Juice, and your Uncle Juice...
He's a good man.
Uncle Juice is a good man.
He's never going to stop being the Juice.
It could explain a lot, Juice. Just hear him out, Juice.
He's right, Juice.
Listen, Juice. Juice, this is your life. Juice, please, Juice. Juice, we need an answer.
I'm pretty sure that in the history of the sports bar, David Schwimmer as Robert Kardashian in The People versus O.J. Simpson, in every instance of him saying the word juice, has the longest staying power. It's held up longer than any other piece of audio.
Since the Juice is dead, we don't play it half as much. But I think.
But you don't have to give me a reason to play it.
Nope. I was just like a Ryan Leaf interception telegraphing where I wanted you to go there, and then you were able to make the read correctly.
I mean, this came.
Oh, who cares?
Francesa came like midway, like 4 years ago, something like that. Juice is like almost a day one sports bar OG piece of audio that has held up through the years, even in his passing. We still can appreciate every instance of David Schwimmer as Robert Kardashian saying the word juice in The People versus O.J. Simpson. I'll never get tired of it. Juice. AC's here. He's never going to stop being the juice. So good.
Oh, yes, that was all together in one. They made a 30 for 30 of it.
Appreciate PJ stopping by. We'll talk more U.S. Open golf with Brian Koziel of Tee to Green. He's stopping by the sports bar during our 4 o'clock hour. You can join us at 866-4FAN, 866-4326. More next on The Fan Rochester.
Victories, heartbreaking defeats. No matter your team, no matter your game, we talk sports. The Fan, Rochester.
Yeah, I saw a video of DeChambeau cross my feed, and DeChambeau's been on fire with his social media game. I don't know if there's another golfer right now that's doing what he's doing, trying to post more.
It can't be. He's not doing it right. He hired somebody?
No, he's doing it. I think he understands that in his sport, there really isn't anybody who that's the way to connect with a younger audience right now. And when I think his stunt was, I'm going to, keep shooting over my house until I get a hole in one. He kept doing it and doing it and doing it. And it became a series, and the series went viral, and eventually he amassed a massive amount of followers, not just because he's a well-known professional golfer. I mean, let's face it, he plays on the Live Tour, but because he's got this kind of social component to his persona now and his brand. And, besides the dropping of the golf ball in the rough that you can't hit out of, which I think we've all seen at this point, him battling on the par 3, 289-yard 8th hole, and the way he approached it and the way he looked, like, guys, if you can get par all 4 rounds on this hole, you're doing okay for yourself. This is going to be, as it is every year with the U.S. Open, this is going to be a challenge.
It's going to, yeah. I think DeChambeau's interesting, though, because if you went back just a few years, not likable. And you brought up the Live thing, but even before that, that was the guy who, Brooks Koepka didn't like, and we just kind of viewed him as this muscle-bound robot.
Well, do you think that's why they don't like him? Do you think that's why he is not like a guy like Brooks Koepka looks at him with disdain because he's now doing what he's doing?
No,
Or do you think he had a brand image rehabilitation?
The latter. I think that, hey, we need to do kind of a makeover here, and here's how we're going to go about it. Let's not have you as a heel. Let's have you as the likable golfer, where there's another video of him signing for kids and, shaming some adult. And, hey, that's kind of – like, he puts out good content. There's somebody helping him with this. There's no doubt.
Do you remember, it was he and Rory, and so much was made as the final round of the Masters. Nobody's talking. He's not talking to me. And you could see with the patrons, DeChambeau was actually giving fist bumps and shaking hands hole by hole. Rory was locked in. He wasn't saying anything to anybody, looking at anybody, talking to anybody. And just from seeing that, you think, Rory's a jerk. DeChambeau's awesome.
You know who would know a heck of a lot more? Radio tease. Brian Koziel coming up next hour. How did he remake his image so well here? Gosh. Yeah, and then on the other end, Rory,
I mean, he's winning, but is he any more likable? I felt something when he won the Masters. I did feel like, okay, that's a giant weight.
And then, all right, you pulled it out the last second. Yeah. And, who couldn't feel for the guy then? But kind of a funny thing happened. After a win like that, you're thinking, okay, great. He's going to be the golfer of the year. And it's been anything but. Do you think he'll make the cut this week? That's a legitimate conversation. He's going so sideways right now.
If I'm rooting for anything, I'm rooting for Scotty Scheffler to dominate. Not just win. I'm saying dominate. Give us something on Monday to talk about where we're talking about something we haven't seen in the sport dating back to Tiger Woods. Somebody who just comes in an intimidating course. It's all anybody's talking about, and he just dominates it and leaves everybody else in the field in his wake. That's what I'm rooting for. I don't know if it'll happen, but you're right. Brian will give us a little bit more. We'll talk U.S. Open Golf with Brian Koziel, who hosts Tee to Green on WGR in Buffalo, and you can hear it also in the free-to-download Odyssey app. We've got day 2 of Buffalo Bills mini camp in the books and some news and notes to share from that coming up next. We also have time for your calls in the sports bar if you want to join us. Our number is 866-4326, 585-866-4FAN.
And streaming online and in the Odyssey app at The Fan Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Day 2 of minicamp for the Buffalo Bills in the books. The newcomer for Buffalo is linebacker Shaq Thompson.
Physical, downhill, violent, leadership, encouraging others, tone setter, trash talker. I'm a player, I'm a team guy first, right? So whatever he wants me line up, that's where I'm going to line up. My role is my role. I'm here to do my job. I'm here to win games.
There's one more practice for Buffalo tomorrow, and then it's off to the summer break. Game 3 of the NBA Finals tonight, Pacers and Thunder. That's tied at 1 game each. The Rochester Red Wings taking on Jacksonville tonight. Wings looking to break a 7-game slide. On the Major League scoreboard, Guardians big over the Reds 11-2. Phillies get a win at home over the Cubs 7-2. And it was the Pirates over the Marlins 5-2. Ernie Clement 3 for 3 so far with a homer. The Jays are leading the Cardinals 5-2 in the top of the 6th. Gene Battaglia, The Fan, Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
We're back to football, so football.
I like my money. That's why I'm here.
How can we continue to connect as a football team? That's a big piece of us this spring.
Before you know it, guys, we'll be sitting back. I'll be watching you guys eat garbage plates and having an uneasy stomach.
I love it.
Hey, boys.
Mike Danger.
You're going to have a problem with my power rankings. I'm going to go a little off script. I'm going to be a little unorthodox with my power rankings, okay? Don't have fun with a list. How dare you? This is serious sports talk.
Gene Battaglia.
All right, this is silly. This is fraudulent, this list here.
Oh, who cares?
Game 3 tonight, NBA Finals. It is a pivotal one.
The Knicks were denied permission to speak with Minnesota head coach Chris Finch and Houston's Ime Udoka yesterday, and then Dallas's Jason Kidd this morning. So New York is still far from replacing Tom Thibodeau.
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Oh, I think we heard improper use of the word pivotal there in our show open from the Dan DeLorean. Game 3 tonight in the NBA Finals would not exactly be a pivotal Game 3.
Would you agree, though, that you would give an exception for Game 4 of Edmonton, Florida? Hear me out. If Edmonton loses this, then everybody in Florida is going to want to win the cup in Game 5, and then even if you don't, good luck winning Games 6 and 7. On the other hand, if Edmonton wins, okay, then we're all back to square. I mean, Game 4 to me, pivotal.
I don't think so.
No,
this is an Edmonton team that was down 3-0 just last year. They know how to come back. They've been in this situation, and if they're down 3-1 with a chance for Florida to win on home ice. Yeah, I think they're going to sell out and do everything they can to bring it back north of the border for the end of this series. So I think the pivotal game is actually going to be Game 5 in Florida with that series tied up at 2. The proper use of the word pivotal.
Yeah, right.
Not Game 3
is not
tonight.
Pivotal, no.
Was that Hickey that did that? Come on. Hot take Hickey. Come on, man.
That's why he's hot take Hickey.
Come on, man.
Did you see this? Listen, next summer is going to be fun. The World Cup, right? We're going to have the event in our country in North America, and kind of in advance of that, this Sunday, MetLife Stadium, they're going to have a game, a World Cup game between, I'm going to butcher this.
The qualifier?
Yeah, Palmeiras and FC Porto.
Okay. Oh, that's not a World Cup qualifier. That's just
FIFA Club World Cup match.
FIFA Cup. Okay.
FIFA Club World Cup. But you got to play by FIFA rules, which means grass.
Yeah.
Which means MetLife Stadium has grass, and the media was invited in to see what this looks like.
It's better.
And you have the NFLPA retweeting this photo. Looks nice.
Yep.
Hashtag safer fields.
Yep. It does look nice. It would look nice. It should be grass. Won't be grass. Not for the NFL season. Won't be grass. Sorry. Not happening. Should. Would love it. Would make everything look better and less injuries and the whole thing. The MetLife turf is nasty, right?
It's considered the worst.
It's always been, whether it was Giant Stadium or MetLife, like it always feels like the Jersey turf is the worst. Philadelphia was pretty bad there, the old back in the day.
That was the one where
Veterans Stadium.
Mike Quick blows out both ACL, both knees, because you had the baseball patch and oh my gosh, that vet turf was terrible.
Yeah.
But in this day and age, you're making this investment in all these players. Why wouldn't you go to grass? Look, they're putting grass in Buffalo.
It can be done.
It can be done.
It can be done. Will it be done in New York? I think not. Not for the NFL. Yes, for the World Cup, they have to. And if somebody in the NFL was saying you have to make it grass for the NFL, then they would, but they're not. And therefore, you will save the expense of having to maintain a grass field at MetLife, and you will go back to the artificial surface for the football season.
Well, it's not just MetLife. There are 11 NFL stadiums, Danger, that will be hosting World Cup matches. Of those 11, 7 currently have the artificial turf. So you have Dallas, you have the one in Houston, you've got Atlanta, you've got SoFi, you've got the one up in Seattle. That's turf too, as well as Gillette. Gillette used to be grass way back when, right?
I don't remember Gillette being grass. If it was,
maybe I'm thinking the old park.
Yeah, I really don't remember it ever being grass. Seattle has always been artificial. Atlanta's the interesting one because I know that has a retractable roof, but I view that as an indoor stadium in Atlanta. So they'll be putting grass in there too. That's one that, man, I'd love to go check out the Mercedes-Benz dome or the stadium there in Atlanta just to see the atmosphere because it looks amazing. But I've never. That's one to check off the bucket list at some point, I suppose. Looks ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, look, I think the grass field looks better on TV. Obviously, the players enjoy it more, but we've covered this road. This is an expense that a lot of NFL owners don't want to have to worry about.
Well, when we're talking about the next CBA, and we're going to blink an eye, and it's going to be here, right? And I'm not looking forward to that. None of us are looking forward to that. But if the NFL wants 18 games, are they willing to put in grass? To me, that would be okay. That'd be worth the price to get the 18th game there.
You would certainly make it back within the expense of maintaining a grass field could be made up over the course of a couple of seasons with the addition of one game. Maybe just with the addition of one game pays for the entire season of maintaining a grass field, which probably wouldn't be enough for an NFL owner. They'd want to make a bigger profit.
I was a little surprised to hear you this week. Oh, I got the weed and feed down, Gino. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
In June?
Yeah, the weed and feed.
I know.
The one that you have to put down on the wet grass so
Yeah.
that the granules adhere to any weeds you may have in your yard. And by the way, I don't have many. And I didn't really do anything early in the spring. Hot lawn talk here in the sports bar. Threw down some grub killer, Gene, a few weeks ago. Threw down some grub killer. Had to get rid of the grubs, make sure that we don't have any June bugs flying around here over the course of the next few weeks. So I got that down, and then I'm like, weed and feed before vacation, and maybe by the time we come back, the yard is still properly maintained, still looking lush and green. Although with the amount of rainfall that we've gotten so far this spring, I have no idea how it would be anything but that for the rest of the summer. We'll get to it.
By the way, I'm not crazy. Gillette Stadium, when it opened up, had grass. They transferred over in 2006.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's so long ago. It's almost 20 years ago, and I don't remember a time where there was ever grass in that stadium, but there you go. Soccer. I don't even know. It was a friendly last night that Team USA was playing, and I want to say, and they lost like 5-0, 3-0. It was just embarrassing. And there was the conclusion to a European tournament. Was it the UEFA Tournament of Nations, I want to say, on Sunday night. My kids are very, very into European soccer. They just like certain players for certain teams that play European soccer because they like their celebrations and their dancing and blah, blah, blah. And so it was Portugal and Spain. So I'm watching. I'm like, yeah, Spain. I'll check that out to see if Spain can win. It was the final. And Landon Donovan afterward just launched a tirade on U.S. soccer because you see how much it means to these countries to be involved in these tournaments, whether you're talking about the Nations Tournament, which just concluded, or the upcoming World Cup next year. it means so much more. And then you've got Team USA basically looking for any opportunity they can to not. Donovan just lambasted them, and we're not really a soccer show, but I saw that note, and we're talking about the fields being converted to grass. It's just different around the world. We should change over to grass. We should make sure that World Cup represents the way. It could do a lot for the game here domestically, but more than anything, the rest of the world is going to have all of their sight focused on our stadiums and our arenas.
You're gonna try to make it a World Cup?
I would love to, man. That would be an unbelievable experience. I would love to get to a game. I don't know if it's Toronto. I don't know if it's New York, but yeah, it'd be a lot of fun.
It wouldn't matter who was playing. It's like one of those events that, like the Olympics, that all right, I just want to see what this is all about.
For sure, no question about it. Brian Koziel of Tee to Green is going to stop by the sports bar here in about 15 minutes or so. We'll get a full preview of the U.S. Open, which gets underway from Pittsburgh tomorrow. Bills minicamp
today, and headline stories, Danger? Well, it's a piece of video from Alex Brasky who put out there where, all right, end of practice, and you see Maxwell Harrison just testing out his left knee just a little bit. There's no cart. There's no anything like that. But to me, all this does is it serves as a reminder that, yeah, you want to get the work in, but everybody stay healthy. And you brought up the point early in the show, like, when was the last time we had the Bills heading to training camp where you really didn't have that sort of injury concern?
Yeah, Harrison came out of team drills late in the practice. He was getting looked at by a couple of trainers, and then practice ended, walked inside with everyone else at the end of practice. Tomorrow will give us, I'm sure, a little bit more news on whether or not this Maxwell Harrison injury is an injury or if it was just a tweak. His participation tomorrow will be telling, but that was the word, and that was video that we saw from our buddy Brasky, who joined us yesterday.
866-4FAN, 866-4326. Good friend of the show, Mike in Sodus Bay. What's up, Mike?
I love talking about lawns, guys, because I don't have one.
Oh, this guy.
Wow.
It's the greatest thing in the world. Hey, I know you're not a soccer show, but did you see what city in America had the #1 ratings for the English Premier League?
I know the
or
answer
to this. Or as my children say, the
I know
EPL?
The answer to this is Buffalo, New York.
Buffalo, New York.
Buffalo, New York, without a pro soccer franchise.
Which that doesn't make any sense to me. Why is that? Can you explain why?
I can try to explain it, Mike. Maybe you have a better explanation, but just my thought when I saw that was, in Rochester, in Buffalo, I know that there is a large contingent of soccer fans that will latch on to their squad in the Premier League. I know a bunch of Liverpool fans. I know a bunch of Manchester United fans, and I imagine in Buffalo it's just exponentially greater.
I agree with you, and in the younger generation, like my kids, they love the Saturday morning English Soccer League stuff. They watch it. They go out. It's a phenomena that I don't quite understand, but I thought it was interesting that it's Buffalo and that they're going to have a grass field. I'm like, English Premier plays exhibitions in America in the summer. It seems to me a perfect marriage
to
come to Buffalo to play that. And then today I see that the mayor of Los Angeles is threatening not to allow the World Cup in Los Angeles because of the rioting. I'm like, we got the perfect place.
Yeah, bring the World Cup to
Love
Buffalo. Hey,
right,
take care, Mike.
Thanks,
Thank you for that. Yeah, it is weird. I wonder if, and I've been saying this all along, with soccer just as a product on TV, it does feel somewhat digestible in that you're not going to commercial every time out. It's long stretches of action that have you kind of gripped and engaged, 45-minute halves, and you're really just watching action for 45 minutes straight. I think there's something about it capturing you and not really letting you go.
Okay, that's fair. I hear that. Why hasn't MLS taken off? From a TV. Yes, you have pockets like Cincinnati and Atlanta that this is their team and they're really into it on a local level. but it barely registers in a
For sure.
national law. Is it because our palate is sharp? And I've heard this from soccer fans, like they look at that and they're like, no, that's not the real thing.
It doesn't feel like it feels like a different brand of soccer. It really does. And then I think you've also got a little bit of the MLB syndrome with the MLS, and that I don't know where the games are anymore. I think Apple TV gave them a ton of money to be the exclusive provider, and if you don't have Apple TV, you're basically SOL. You're not going to get your MLS games. I don't see them anywhere, at least.
Can I say this? And this is one of the things that maybe differentiates Buffalo and Rochester. That just really pisses me off. That we were the soccer town, and now here's Buffalo getting all these bouquets, and here's Buffalo getting their downtown stadium, and here's Buffalo. I don't want to drive to Buffalo. I want a team here in our town. And maybe I can't be looking back and we used to have the Rhinos. Let me tell you about Yarny Elnut and all the. We just have to look forward, I guess. But that just kind of like what the heck happened?
Well, we built a soccer stadium downtown.
We just need an owner that understands that you're going to do this to give back to the community.
You need need an owner who's who wants to make Rochester a charity case. We're going to lose money. I'm going to lose money with this venture, but it's important to the community, so I will give it to the community.
That's it.
So which billionaire is signing up for that? Who in Rochester is signing up to that? Who in their right mind, who accumulated their wealth or has their wealth, says, I hate money so much, I'm just going to lose money year after year to give back to the community.
There are countless examples of men and women who do that around the country, Danger.
We just need one of them to pick Rochester?
Or like somebody like Terry Pagula said, no, I love the Sabres. And like at the end of the day, do you think the answer is like he's made money because the franchise has gone up? However, year to year, does Terry Pagula actually turn a profit on the Sabres? I'm going to guess no.
Why does Terry Pagula no longer run the Blue Cross Arena or the Rochester Night? Why did the Rochester Night Hall? I mean, like,
right? Yeah, they don't make money, Danger.
That's right.
The correct answer.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, and he's a billionaire. Billionaires become billionaires because they're smart with their money. They don't like losing it. They don't like throwing it away. James Cook doesn't. He wants his money, right? He's not going to get fined. He wants his money.
Isn't that the best answer?
Yeah.
Like I'm here.
I like money.
I like money.
I like money. I say it all the time. If it makes me money or if it makes me happy, I'm in. If it does neither, consider me out. And I think that what we're talking about here, if Rochester were to ever cross paths with a billionaire with a giant heart who would really honestly say, I'm doing this for the community. This isn't going to make money. I know this isn't going to make money. I can stand to lose money, but I don't know many billionaires that like to say, yeah, I could stand to lose, a couple million a year or a couple, lose a billion over the course of time. I could stand to lose a billion.
So like you own a team instead of a super yacht. Or whatever it is, or the villa in Italy, or whatever it is.
I think that I don't know what they've got going on in Buffalo. I know that you said they're building a stadium.
No, that's a fact. Yeah. So,
but do they have a team? Is a team coming?
Yeah, they're going to have. It's not. This is going to.
It's not the USL.
It's the USL.
It's not USL level down. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you got to start somewhere, I guess. And if you're in the USL, you're not quite MLS, but there were USL teams that got promoted up to the MLS. And okay.
In fairness, I like another ownership group in Buffalo. It doesn't have to be all Pagula there. I don't even know who owns the Bisons out there, to be perfectly honest, but I like the fact that there's somebody else other than Pagula is investing in something in Buffalo. But it's still, nonetheless, it irks me that, okay, we just kind of let that go here.
I don't know if I like Mike talking about loving not having a lawn. I mean,
haven't you thought about that? Like, what would it be like to live in a really nice apartment and I don't have to worry about a lawn?
I have a neighbor who's been retired for a long, long time, and I joke. I'm like, his favorite pastime is being out in the yard and working on his lawn. It's got to be because he's out there all the time, and he's moving. He's leaving our neighborhood, and one of the first things he says is like, yeah, no more maintenance. I'm like, yeah, you're gonna go crazy. You love the maintenance. You love working out in the lawn. How is that going to work? I don't know. Maybe.
See, I picture you and Sandy retiring in the villages.
No.
And the villages, I don't think you have to worry about that you're paying in and somebody
I'll probably get to a point where I won't have to worry about it or don't want to have to worry about it. But the idea of living in the villages and taking my golf cart from no.
You say this.
Not gonna do that. The golf cart. Every time I think of my guy Nicky G. Every time I see the golf carts whizzing through my neighborhood, and all I think is Nicky G, probably like wearing a tank top and with maybe like a sauce stain on the front of it, and his driver yelling at the golf carts as they're whizzing by. This ain't the villages. He's got the sauce stain because he's Italian.
You have a few characters in your neighborhood.
We sure do, pal. Brian Koziel. Hey, I saw Brian at the Roast of Cause in SUNY Brockport over the weekend. And when I saw him, I'm like, hey, we're talking to you this week, right? He's like, yeah, let's do it. All right, U.S. Open. Let's talk.
Let's do it.
To our guy from Tee to Green on WGR and the Odyssey app. Brian Koziel joins us next on The Fan Rochester.
update.
Day 2 of Buffalo Bills minicamp is in the books. Josh Allen on what he's working on.
The goal for minicamp is just to get loose, get back to throwing some footballs and getting on the same page with some guys. There's some few mistakes out there today, but that's to be expected. Just learning from new concepts that we're putting in and understanding different body types and guys we're throwing to, and just trying to see what guys are good at.
There's one more practice tomorrow, and the next time we see the team is at St. John Fisher University coming up in late July. Game 3 of the NBA Finals tonight, the Pacers and the Thunder. This series tied at 1 game each. Rochester Red Wings coming off an 18-0 loss to Jacksonville. Same two teams tonight at Innovative Field. On the Major League scoreboard, Phillies get a win over the Cubs 7-2. Guardians 11-2 over Cincinnati. Pirates get a win over the Marlins 5-2. It's the Mariners leading the Diamondbacks 1-0. Jays are up on the Cardinals 5-2 in the 7th. Gene Battaglia, the Fan, Rochester.
Neat or on the rocks? It's the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
I don't pay attention to the favorite stuff or anything like that. I mean, starting Thursday morning, we're at even par, and it's up to me to go out there and play against a golf course and see what I can do.
There's Scotty Scheffler, best golfer in the world. Heading into the U.S. Open as the favorite, we welcome in Brian Koziel of Tee to Green in the Odyssey app and our Odyssey Sports sister station, WGR in Buffalo. We'll also talk a little bit of Sabres with Brian. The pride of SUNY Brockport. Brian, good seeing you on Saturday. Told you we'd make some time for you this week. Glad we could have you on to talk a little bit about the U.S. Open. I guess the question I have to start is, you taking Scotty Scheffler or you taking the field?
It was great to see you as well on Saturday. I think that we have reached the point where it is almost like it was with Tiger, where it is almost coin flip. I know if you look at odds, it's still plus money to take Scheffler versus the field, but man, it feels as close to 50-50 as we've had since we used to have this bet with Tiger, back in the heyday when he was so great all the time. God, I mean, how could you not pick Scheffler to win? He's so locked in all the important categories, coming off of 3 wins in his last 4 events, trying to go for another major here. The conditions all set up for guys that can control their ball and can control their distance, and I think he's doing it the best in the world. So it's so easy to pick him, and I know you're bringing me on to give you all these insightful things, but Scotty Scheffler is just really good. I think he's better than anybody else. I'd pick him to win before a landslide before I'd pick anybody else.
So I guess the follow-up to that, Brian, is knowing that Scotty is everybody's favorite to win this weekend. Could we see, you mentioned Tiger, could we see Scheffler put on a performance a la Tiger Woods where he's winning by a lot? He's separating himself, and this is a statement tournament for him.
Well, could be, yes. The only reason I'll say, here's the argument against that, is that it's hard to rack up a lot of birdies at Oakmont. Now, could he finish at 1 under, 2 under, and then the next guy's at +7? I guess, yeah. But usually when you see these runaways, it's because also the leader is just on fire and, maybe is making a ton of birdies. The most famous U.S. Open example of this, like you mentioned, Tiger in the 2000 Open at Pebble Beach when he was at -12, and then the next player was at +3, and he won by 15 in the greatest performance ever in a U.S. Open. Pebble Beach, though, lends itself more to scoreable holes. It's shorter. The rough wasn't as penalizing. The greens are smaller, so if you can hit them, the chances of you having a birdie putt are a little higher. Oakmont, this rough is insane. I'm sure for anybody that's been on social media or you've been watching maybe Golf Channel all this week, you've seen that the rough on average is going to be around 5 inches around the course. These greens in the renovation that they did in 2023 are expanded, so they're bigger sized greens. So in some sense, they may hit more greens, but because of the speed of the greens, we may see more 3 putts, which can lend itself to obviously bogeys and maybe double bogeys and things like that. So I don't know if I would predict to say that if Scheffler's on his A game that he could win by 10 or something like that. But I could see it where definitely maybe it's comfortable, kind of like it ended up at the PGA where he walked in to that last hole and ended up winning by 7. I could see, maybe a 4 or 5 shot lead here down the stretch where Scheffler just has to play it safe. I think what's what's maybe you could argue is fun or not fun about the U.S. Open is it's the test of 72 holes of like grind and will, and are you going to have the wherewithal mentally and physically to be able to play all those holes at such a high capacity? There isn't holes where you can just like, well, if I make a mistake here, I'll catch up here. Even the par fives, there's only 2 of them, and they're both over 600 yards. One's 611, one's 632. So it's not even like, okay, at least there's a gettable birdie coming. Like you have par fives with tougher fairways to hit. I don't think that if someone falls behind, I don't see any opportunities to maybe have that catch up. So it's going to be down to me just not getting yourself in trouble early. The classic line of, hey, you can't win it on these first 2 days, but you certainly can lose it. I think that applies for sure. I think if you get yourself in a hole, I think you're done. I really don't think there's scoreable holes that are going to be able to come up for this course. A lot of people label the hardest in the United States, and I was there for the last 2 Opens for certain days and watched it, and I know they've made it even harder. So I would agree with that sentiment that this is going to be a really, really tough challenge for the best in the world.
Yeah, Brian, to read that Rory McIlroy admitted to an 81 in a practice round, and again, it's practice. Maybe he was trying some things. Who knows? But what's happened here with Rory? Like, you win the Masters, and you're thinking, okay, this is going to be it. Your thoughts on Rory heading into this tournament?
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed and surprised at Rory's mindset. I thought coming off the Masters win, especially judging just by the physical emotion and the words that he spoke after that win, of just how like freeing it was and how he's been carrying out this weight of the Grand Slam forever, and now he feels like, hey, I've accomplished everything I set out to in golf. I've won all 4 majors. I got the Grand Slam. I'm a Ryder Cup hero. Like, he's done all of it. I thought literally, like, okay, he is going to play so free. He's going to play with a mindset where there's zero pressure. I thought it would really loosen him up. Instead, like, he seems almost agitated and annoyed. I know there was the driver non-conforming story that he didn't like, that his name was linked to it when other big names had the same thing happen to them. He hasn't hit the ball well off the tee at all. Part of his struggles at the PGA was that he was all over. Last week up in Toronto at the Canadian Open, he put on one of his worst driving displays that I've seen in years from him and finished 150th and missed the cut, 9 over par. I mean, this week, if he is at all spraying it, he's toast. I mean, there's just no chance that at Oakmont, if you don't have good control or accuracy off the tee, that you have a chance. I mean, it's hard enough even if you hit fairways. It's such a tough, difficult challenge. So he was asked about his driver, I think on yesterday in his press conference, and he's like that he wouldn't even like give information. Like, well, it's a TaylorMade because that's who pays him to play the driver. And, what kind is it? Oh, is it the same one? He wasn't like giving any. He's like, oh, you'll have to come out and watch. It's like, I don't know. Just to me, his mentality, I'm really, really surprised. I thought he would be as happy and, on earth as any golfer could be. He's won 3 times. He's won the Players. He's got the Grand Slam. He got the Masters. Like, how could you be in a foul mood? And he just seems like he's in a mindset right now that he doesn't even look like he enjoys playing golf, which is something that is really puzzling to me.
The flip side of that coin, and we don't have to look back far, it was when Rory in that final round of the Masters was paired with Bryson DeChambeau, and we hear about, how Rory didn't talk to DeChambeau, and DeChambeau, by all intents and purposes, has gone through like a complete image rehabilitation. I mean, DeChambeau was kind of like the heel of the PGA Tour for a while. He goes to live, and I don't think anybody bats an eye, but through social media and through some of the videos that he's posted and his actions on the course, talk to us about DeChambeau and this image rehab that he's gone through here over the course of the last few years.
Yeah, it's been a total 180. I mean, he was early on labeled as the mad scientist, kind of quirky. What is this guy doing with all the same length clubs? People were really intrigued by it, and he was all about the numbers. Remember, he was floating his golf balls in water to see like which ones had different buoyancy levels and things like that to see which one would give him better performance. So, yeah, very odd. Then he got into the I'm going to bulk up stage and look like, he's getting jacked up to go do WWE instead of the PGA Tour. And people were intrigued by the fact that he was hitting the ball a mile and as far as anybody ever had before. Then he goes to live, but he always kind of just seemed a little bit uncomfortable maybe with dealing with the public, dealing with fans, dealing with media. And that's definitely changed. I think maybe he probably had been advised to hey, you should probably change how you interact with people, interact with the media, interact with golf fans that are a huge reason why you have this success and have this platform. And he's also, I think, probably matured in age. I mean, let's face it, when you're in your younger 20s, people obviously maybe mature as time goes on. So I want to give him some credit himself beyond the fact maybe if he's being advised or coached to do so. But now how he handles himself out on the golf course, even during matches, even during majors where he's out there high-fiving fans and tossing balls to kids. And even when an adult jumps in and grabs the ball, he chases him down, even though he's in the middle of a round. He's certainly changed his image. And I don't know how much of it's for show and how much of it's genuine, but at the very least, I will give him 100% credit for understanding that it's important when you have such a big role in golf. And now he is definitely, I would say, top 3 in the world in terms of being a golf influencer right now. It's probably Scheffler, McIlroy, and him in terms of the amount of influence that he can have on the game and have on youngsters. So I will credit him for understanding that the power he has and how he's really, really gone a long way to try to change that image. And he's become more popular that way too. Obviously, if you're not a LIV fan, people tend to not like the LIV golfers. But for me, DeChambeau, I've always said it from day one, even back before when he wasn't maybe as easygoing or as comfortable interacting with fans. He's always super, super interesting to watch. And now he can be a little bit more likable. So I love watching him. Even if you're not rooting for him, I think he's as interesting as any golfer to watch.
Brian Koziel, he hosts a Tee to Green. We'll also get his thoughts here in a little bit about the Sabres making a front office hire. Brian, of course, one thing that's kind of changed during the last few years, hey, we can actually get on our phones and kind of have a little action on this. And I'm looking at just your thoughts on it, if we wanted to rather go the favorite, any long shots that have your eye. I'm going to throw one name, not a long shot, but the odds I'm looking at right now at plus 6,000 for Victor Hovland. Maybe I just feel kind of bad for the guy, seeing that he's come close a few times, and certainly at Oak Hill it was right there for him before Koepka won a couple of years ago in the PGA Championship.
I have been on the Victor Hovland train for 3 years, saying this is the year he's going to win a major. This is the year he's going to win a major. I just love his personality and super likable, and always seemingly is having fun out there on the golf course. And I just love the fact that he's able to brush off a bad hole and still have that kind of happy-go-lucky attitude of hey, look at me. I'm getting paid millions and millions of dollars to play golf. So I think he's a guy to root for sure. Every interaction that I've heard from other members of the media that have interacted with Hovland all have positive things to say about him. He, of course, won the FedEx Cup playoffs 2 years ago, striping his irons as good as anybody. He was always known for maybe having a mediocre short game in terms of the PGA, comparing him to other PGA Tour players. He straightened that out when he won the FedEx Cup championship. But over the last year and a half, he's undergone caddy changes, swing changes, coaching changes. And I'm not quite sure if he's maybe got it where he wants them all lined up. He clearly has the talent that if he won a major, I wouldn't be shocked in any capacity. I've been touting him for years to win one, so I like that. Other names to throw out there. If you think putting is important at the U.S. Open, Sam Burns, who played last week well at the Canadian Open, obviously feeling good about his game. He's number one on tour in strokes game putting. That's a name that's maybe down about 20, 25 names. Here's a couple of other names that play hard golf courses really well, that have performed pretty well in previous U.S. Open conditions. Russell Henley, he's a very, very accurate driver, top 15 driver in the world, driving accuracy off the tee. That could be a name. And Harris English, who also is excellent at putting. I think I saw a stat this week that inside 10 feet, he's number one in terms of putting from inside 10 feet. So those would be a couple of names I like: Hovland, Henley, English, and maybe even Sepp Straka, who's probably had on paper as good a year that he might be up near in the top 15 in terms of betting lines. He's number one in greens and regulation. That's an important stat to have, because with this rough, you want to be putting at all times. You don't want to be chipping for your birdie putt or your par attempt. So Straka, who has won twice this year, he's had a good year as well. So I think if you're looking for like reasonable names without going like way down to the bottom of the list, I think those are a handful of names that people could look at this week.
Brian, if we're going to spend time talking about Bryson DeChambeau as we just did, I got to wonder what happened to his rival, because it feels like we haven't heard a lot from Brooks Koepka since he won at Oak Hill, and I'm curious as to what his game is like heading into this weekend's tournament.
Yeah, it hasn't been good. His majors, he's been struggling. I mean, missing the cut at the Masters, and he is a bull. Like that this is why he's done so well at U.S. Opens and PGA Championship setups, because they're harder. It's a grind. There's a lot of pressure. There's nothing really, enjoyable about playing these holes. They're grind, and Koepka thrives on that. And he's always said, he's like, look, these majors with pressure, and when they get tougher, he's like, half the guys, they can't handle it. He's like, I know I got half the field beat already. But lately, the last 2 years, I mean, basically since post-Oak Hill win, he hasn't been great. And I know that a lot of this has been that he hasn't liked his irons. He hasn't been really good with accuracy. I mean, geez, this week, if you don't have your accuracy game going, you're going to be in trouble. I would put Koepka more in the range of 50-50 to make the cut versus I would to actually talk about him being in contention this week.
I'm just looking at some of these pictures. Like, what are these bunkers here? The coffin bunkers, piano keys. Your thoughts on what makes this course Oakmont unique here, Brian?
So you mentioned the bunkers. Let's start there. 168 of them. Oh. It's one of the most that the players have ever seen professionally. I mean, if you take out the par threes, where obviously there's less distance, so there's less bunkers. If you just take them at the fours and the five, that's double digits bunkers averaging per hole. So, I mean, that is a lot. Not only do you have to deal with them on the tee shots, but you have to deal with them around the greens. Yeah, the famous hole that they're going to show a lot if you watch the television coverage this week is in between the third and the fourth hole. They call them church pews because they kind of all line up like you would when you go into church. They actually added a 13th grass mound that they call a church pew this year because they wanted the hole, because they lengthened the hole and they wanted it to maybe be still in play for some of the longer hitters. So they've added a 13th.
Wow.
Originally, I was reading a story this week that they were all individual bunkers that eventually kind of morphed into one with these grass mounds in between. I guess a member in the 1930s saw that they had it similar at a course in New Jersey, and they thought, hey, we've got all these bunkers. Let's make it into one big one and kind of aesthetically make it a little bit nicer looking on the eyes. So that's in between the third and the fourth hole. That'll definitely be, I guess, people said, what's Oakmont's signature hole? It's probably hole number 3 with that famous bunker. But, yeah, then you have these ditches. They renovated the course in 2023. They brought these ditches kind of back into play. These are more so what you see overseas, like, in the United Kingdom, kind of those style of courses, but old school links courses where they had these drainage ditches and these other courses that just filled in with grass. Probably that's going to come in the most to play on the 9th hole this week. It's right in between the 9th and the first hole, but because the 9th hole is just scattered with bunkers on the right, people, I'm sure players are going to be looking up the left side, and there's a ditch right up the left. So I think the 9th hole is where you'll see those ditches coming into play more so than not. And they've also expanded the greens, which in some sense you'd say, oh, that makes that easier. But it allows for more different pin placements that can be challenging for players that the USGA, of course, loves. They want to have challenging pin placements. So that's something this week. You may see this incredible, massive green that jets in, it jets out, it circles around, all these sort of things. And then you're going to see the pin stuck kind of like in a little peninsula area or something like that. So I think with the larger greens, you're going to get some really, really unique pin places that maybe you wouldn't see where we just have a course where, you just got kind of circular, oval type greens where you just kind of stick it somewhere near the center.
And Brian, you mentioned the 600-yard par 5s on the course. It was DeChambeau putting out a video on number 8, a 289-yard par 3, that if you get par for 4 straight rounds, I'd say you're feeling pretty good about yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah, these 5s, there's only 2. And that's why I say, I don't think there's a lot of holes out there where you can even relax or feel like, okay, this one's gettable. Both par 5s are over 600, one 611, one 632. So, I mean, most of these guys are not going to be reaching it in 2 unless they just hit the absolute perfect drive and the conditions are in their setup. So I'm sure Bryson will think about, hey, this is a spot maybe where I can gain on the field because of his length. If McIlroy's able to find the fairway, maybe him too. But even the par threes, we haven't even talked about the par threes yet. There's a par 3 that's 289 yards. If there's any wind against them, guys are hitting driver. I was watching a video where a marshal had said that during the practice rounds he was there for 2 hours, and he said almost every single group that came through were hitting drivers. That's the 8th hole. 289. I mean, that's insane. My opinion, I don't love long par threes. I think we've probably discussed this before at some point over the years. The best par threes in the world are short ones. The pair at Augusta on the back 9, 12 and 16. Number 7 at Pebble Beach is just 100 yards. The postage stamp at Royal Troon's like 120. The Island Green at Sawgrass is like a pitching wedge for the pros. It's like 135, 140. I don't really know of anybody that says, hey, this is an amazing par 3 that says it because it's long. And 289. All right, it's the USGA kind of flexing their muscles, but when all the other par 3s are long too, I don't love it. To me, sometimes the best par 3s are the ones that are short, and it's with a crazy pin placement with a lot of danger around it. And if you hit it, great. You got an awesome chance at a birdie. That's what I'm looking for in par 3s. I don't need it to be 289.
Brian, we got to ask you about the Sabres as, they had a hiring. Jarmo Kekalainen. It feels like he's the GM in waiting. Tell me what Kevin Adams has to do here to keep his job long term.
I think the pressure is really on Kevin Adams. I think he's super lucky to be fortunate enough that he has an owner that is really standing loyal and standing to kind of beside him and giving him a 6th season. The NHL changes coaches and GMs as much as any in pro, the big 4 major sports. They fire coaches and GMs mid-season when they're in a playoff spot. Look at Peter DeVore, just got fired from Dallas for making the conference finals. I mean, that is ridiculous. The NBA, the Denver Nuggets made the conference finals. They changed coaches. This is what happens in pro sports. And the GM here is going on season 6, where in his 5 previous, they missed the playoffs in a league where half the teams make the playoffs. And in 2 of those 5, they finished dead last and got the number 1 overall pick. I mean, it is not a resume to say that you should come back for season 6. I think Kevin Adams is super fortunate. Now, to answer your question, yes, to have Kekalainen come in here, and then all of a sudden have this GM experience, have an impressive resume from Columbus, I think the pressure is on. I think if they get off to a bad start and it's mid-November and they're sitting there at 6, 12, and 3, and they're sitting 3rd last in the East, I think Adams is done. I really do. I think this offseason is super important for him to have to do something. I know national reporters have said, the Sabres seem to be busy. Here's what Adams has in terms of a card to play. He's got prospects. He's got draft picks. He has to use them. There's no reason to save them. He may not see these prospects hit the NHL ice. He may not be here to use those draft picks. He has to win now, and he's even got to win, I think, early in the season. I think if they get off to a bad start, I think he's done. I know Terry Pegula probably cannot stand to swallow paying for another GM or another coach that's not working for him, but you've got a guy in waiting. It's not even like you have to go out and interview. You have a guy with GM experience who's done a good job and signed free agents and has a proven track record from Columbus that now is sitting in your office. So it's an easy move to make at any point. You're paying them both anyway. So if I'm Kevin Adams and, free agency and trades coming up this offseason, it has to be all about winning now and winning in the first half of the year. I think if they get off to another bad start, I think Adams is out.
Brian, you mentioned some of the prospects and chips that the Sabres might have to play with here in the offseason. Is J.J. Peterka one of those chips? How confident are you that he is going to be a Buffalo Sabre moving forward?
I think I'd say slightly confident. I think they really, really like Peterka. I think one of the things the Sabres do well is score. That's one area that I would say they don't have to necessarily spend hours and hours and hours worrying about. Out of all the things on their team that they have to worry about, I think scoring is at least semi down the list. But a big reason is because they have a guy like Peterka who still has a lot of upside. You're going to have to pay him at some point if you want to keep him long term. But he's just got natural scoring ability. he seems like he can handle pressure moments. He's scored on the power play when they've needed to. And he seems to be well liked. Now, I know last year there was kind of this fan contingent to say, look, he doesn't look happy ever when he's out on the ice. He doesn't even acknowledge when he scores with a smile or being happy or anything. I don't know what that is to read into that. Every guy handles those situations on the ice differently, but he's definitely in the rumor mill. I mean, here's the thing. If you are able to get a number one defenseman to play with Rasmus Dahlin, you might have to package him as a part of it. Jason Robertson being, rumored with Dallas that he could be available. Well, if Peterka's part of that deal to get you him, then you got to do it. You have to give up something to get something good. I still think that if I'm Adams, I'm advising him, look, even if you have to overtrade a prospect or overtrade a pick, that's where you do it. Because, again, his job, he might not see next trade deadline. So for him, that's where I would go for it. To me, you need more trades like you did with Edmonton. You trade a draft pick, you trade a highly touted prospect like Matt Savoy, and you trade him to Edmonton, and then you get a guy like Ryan McLeod back. I think there has to be one or two of those this offseason, and maybe one of them is even with a more bigger name than just a third-line player like McLeod.
Brian Koziel, your host of Tee to Green, also the Buffalo Sabres radio network. Tee to Green this week. Brian, tell everybody about it. Where are you guys this week?
We are at Pendleton Creek Golf Club. It's in North Tonawanda, and as we do for majors, we're going 2 hours, so 7 to 9 on WGR, and, of course, anywhere on the Odyssey app. So hope you can tune in on Saturday morning, 2 hours. It'll be a ton on the U.S. Open, so we'll be looking forward to talking about it.
Appreciate the time, as always, Brian. Enjoy your weekend.
Thanks, guys, and I'll throw in one more note that's interesting. If you're a Phil Mickelson fan, this might be his last crack at the U.S. Open. His eligibility running out here, or in terms of him being able to play. After he won the PGA, he got 5 more years. So this is it. His world ranking is way in the hundreds because of him playing on LIV. His last 10 tries at the Open, he hasn't even cracked the top 25, and he's missed the cut at the last 3. We know that's still eluding him to get the career Grand Slam. I don't see any scenario that he contends this week, but I figured if you're a Mickelson fan, soak it in. This is probably his last chance to get a U.S. Open.
Brian, great nugget there. Appreciate it. Let's do this again.
Thanks, guys. Talk soon.
Thanks,
Brian Koziel. He is the host of Tee to Green on WGR and the Odyssey app. You can check it out every week. Giving us a little primer there on the U.S. Open, round 1 tomorrow.
Right. Was that the U.S. Open where he hits the tent? Mickelson, yeah. He's leading, and just for whatever reason, just implodes at the end.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah.
So that's the one tournament he hasn't gotten
is the U.S. Open
for the career Grand Slam. Great golfer, but boy, hard to imagine him being in contention when you factor what Scheffler has been, what DeChambeau has been. But it'll be fun. It'll be fun to watch. I guess it's fun to watch the golf course fight back against the golfers every now and then. That's what we're expecting this weekend in Pittsburgh. We'll get to happy hour next on the Fan Rochester.
Wingfoot 2006.
Wingfoot?
Yeah, he's leading, and his tee shot, he uses driver, hits the hospitality tent. Then
it happens to the best of us. Who amongst us hasn't, right? Happy hour next. Day 2 of Buffalo Bills mandatory mini camp. A couple of notes to share from that as well. A round of shots. And don't forget about last call at 866-4FAN. If you want to pull up a stool and join us, 866-4326.
WPTF Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. The Fan, Rochester. Sports update.
Day 2 of minicamp wrapped up for the Buffalo Bills. The newcomer to Buffalo is linebacker Shaq Thompson.
Physical, downhill, violent, leadership, encouraging others, tone setter, trash talker. I'm a player, I'm a team guy first, right? So whatever he wants me line up, that's where I'm going to line up. My role is my role. I'm here to do my job. I'm here to win games.
There is one more practice tomorrow, and then after that, the next time we'll see the team is at Fisher coming up in the summer. Game 3 of the NBA Finals tonight. The Pacers and Thunder tied at 1 game each. Rochester Red Wings continuing their series tonight against Jacksonville. The Wings have dropped 7 in a row. On the Major League scoreboard, Braves get a win over the Brewers 6-2. Guardians over the Reds 11-2. Phillies defeat the Cubs 7-2. Pirates over the Marlins 5-2. It's the Jays leading the Cardinals in the 9 5-2. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, the Fan, Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
We're back to football, so football. I like my money. That's why I'm here.
How can we continue to connect as a football team? That's a big piece of us this spring.
Before you know it, guys, we'll be sitting back. I'll be watching you guys eat garbage plates and having an uneasy stomach.
I love it.
Hey, boys. Mike Danger.
You're going to have a problem with my power rankings. I'm going to go a little off script. I'm going to be a little unorthodox with my power rankings, okay? Don't have fun with a list. How dare you? This is serious sports talk.
Gene Battaglia.
All right, this is silly. This is fraudulent, this list here.
Oh, who cares?
Game 3 tonight, NBA Finals. It is a pivotal one.
The Knicks were denied permission to speak with Minnesota head coach Chris Finch and Houston's Ime Udoka yesterday, and then Dallas's Jason Kidd this morning. So New York is still far from replacing Tom Thibodeau.
95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan. Rochester.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that Knicks' lack of a plan to replace Tibbs as head coach. It's happy hour in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia. We're glad you're with us. Thanks for listening at 95.7 FM, AM 950. Our stream is up on our Twitch channel, our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester. We stream live every afternoon from 3 until 6, if that's your platform of choice. We're also on X at The Fan Rochester. And this is the kind of observation that can only be made by a guy who glossed himself the greatest listener of all time. That's our buddy Chris in South Central Kentucky. I can think of some audio that gets way more play than David Schwimmer as Robert Kardashian in The People versus O.J. Simpson. In fact, I would say it gets 9 times more play.
9 times.
Might be right. Might be right.
I think of that as a different category, like breaking news.
Yeah, and breaking news, shows will have a sounder or a graphic. We have John Sterling getting plunked by a foul ball.
Ow! 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 It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far.
Still love that. Your calls are welcome, by the way, here as well at The Fan Rochester at 866-4326, 585-8664-FAN.
If you are in New York, you shouldn't be going through a process like this. I'm sorry. It's an attractive job, but the Knicks, clearly now they didn't have a plan, Danger, because wondering, wait a second, why hasn't Dallas said no? You're not talking to us about Jason Kidd. Oh, no, they have, according to Shams. The Mavs firmly rejecting the Knicks' request to talk to Jason Kidd. Also, the Rockets said no, you can't talk to Ime Udoka. The Timberwolves were asked, hey, can we talk to Chris Finch? The answer is no. So right now, the New York Knicks don't have a plan when it comes to hiring a new head coach.
Yeah, now you know. It's very clear and obvious who ordered the code red. It was the owner. Who has the least amount of self-awareness? The owner. It's the owner. The owner's calling the shots. You hate to see it. The Knicks were fun. They were good. And then the owner gets involved, fires a coach, and maybe they're better next year with a new head coach. But who's this coach going to be?
Who's this coach going to be? This is going to be because let's add in Jay Wright said no.
Yeah.
Rick Pitino said no. Rick
The
Pitino, a guy who was coaching in Greece 5 years ago, all of a sudden nah, I'm not taking that.
The arrogance of an owner of a franchise would be like, well, we're the New York Knicks. Of course people would want to come and coach. And they don't want to coach for you. They would want to coach the New York Knicks. It is an attractive job. You do have some players, but it's you. You don't just snap your fingers and get what you want.
Well, it's also he's not well liked by other owners. So it's not just the coaches saying no. This is the team saying no. You can't talk to our guy. I'm sure the Knicks aren't offering anything great in terms of compensation. We do have the Bills today, though.
Yeah, you have the Bills today. You have Game 3 tonight in Indianapolis. The Pacers hosting OKC with that series even at a game apiece. 8:30 tonight for the tip. Day 2 of Buffalo Bills mandatory minicamp. And some of the same names that were out yesterday, out again today. We can add a couple more names to that list. I want to say Alec Anderson and Laviska Shenault, both not participating in today's practice. Yet Bale Inspector doing a little bit more than yesterday, no teamwork. And Bosa, lots of video of Bosa on my feed, working off to the side with trainers.
He's doing some quality jogging there.
Yeah. But I think that if there was a story, and I don't know how big of a story it is, we don't want to overstate something, but it was Brasky, our buddy Alex Brasky from Bill's Digest and the Batavia Daily News, caught a glimpse of Maxwell Hairston talking to trainers and working with trainers late in practice, getting looked at. Practice ended, and he walked inside the facility next to a trainer with everybody else walking in. We should have more information tomorrow on what they might plan to do here with Hairston, if that was indeed an injury or if they just take a precaution and sit him out for the final day of minicamp.
He's testing his left leg for some reason in this video, so I don't want to alarm anybody. It's not a card. It's nothing like that. It's just it's a stark reminder, Danger, that, all right, let's just kind of get the training camp, and then after that, just kind of get to the regular season. No one get hurt here. I think it deserves to be said, like, just remarkably how healthy this team is. You hear, okay, Connor McGovern's not out there, and Cole Bishop's out there. Bale Inspector working off this side. These are minor things at this point. We don't have the player returning from a major injury like we've had with Von Miller and like we had with Tre'Davious White and Matt Milano also, like at one point, it was this time last year, he's returning from the injury from Jacksonville before he gets hurt again. So there's storylines every year going into camp, guys that are battling their way back from injury. And right now, the Bills are remarkably healthy, in my opinion.
Yeah, we'll get to St. John Fisher University. It'd be shocking if we didn't have full participation unless somebody gets injured during their time off, which, of course, we've seen happen time and time again throughout the NFL. But we're not hoping for any of that. And honestly, like, kind of surprised. No word on tomorrow's practice being canceled. It looks like they'll go ahead with day 3 of mandatory minicamp, get the work in.
Who is the one Buffalo Bill, this stretch coming up, that got hurt?
Nyheim Hines. Nyheim Hines. And he was never heard from again.
No. Was a 3rd-round pick for one kickoff return.
Yeah.
And then,
we'll always remember it. That was an emotional game and an emotional play. And that was worth a 3rd-round pick, I guess. But, yeah, it gets injured during a jet ski accident. Never heard from again. Gone.
The funny thing is, like, nobody even took a flyer on him.
Yeah,
how bad
was that injury?
Yeah, how severe was it?
Yeah. Speaking of running backs and injuries, J.K. Dobbins found a new home. He'll be signing with the Broncos, just under $3 million deal with the Broncos on a 1-year deal, and he'll have the chance to score another $2.5 million in incentives based on yards from scrimmage. So add Dobbins to the backfield of the Denver Broncos offense. I think their defense is going to be the story.
I think Denver is one of those teams like, okay. Like, are we finally ready to say, hey, Chiefs, you've got some competition. We've done this before, right? But Denver has, I think, a legit defense. You could make the argument, do they have the best defense in the AFC? Hard to say no. The question is, okay, can the kid at quarterback, and he's not a kid, he was in college since the year 2008, right? So
yeah, Bo Nix is 47 years old.
I think so. Yeah, that's accurate.
I Yeah, I'm not going to say anybody in the West is going to dethrone Kansas City until I see somebody do to Kansas City in their division, do to Kansas City what Philadelphia did to Kansas City. Thoroughly embarrass them. Beat them soundly. Because in their division, in their divisional games, they're always going to be tight, but they always find a way. They just always find a way.
Oh, come on. But last year, it's a blocked field goal against Denver, a missed field goal with the Chargers.
Yeah.
I mean, the Raiders imploding at the last.
It's fine. It's fine.
How many of those games went their way?
All fine. It all went their way, and it's all fine. That's what I'm saying. I'm not going to count the Chiefs out of their own division until I see a team, and maybe it is Denver, maybe it is the Chargers, but I want to see a thorough beatdown. I want to see a one-sided affair in a divisional game where you can say, "Ooh, that doesn't look normal," right? You want to. You want to see, like, when the Ravens beat the Bills last year thoroughly.
That was
you
what
stood up and you took notice. And that's the kind of game I'm talking about. If I see a team like Denver or the Chargers do that to the Chiefs, then I'll be like, okay, they're ready. They can thoroughly play with anybody. They can beat the Chiefs.
Yeah, and when we saw that in the Super Bowl, like, ooh, didn't see that coming, but then you recall, it's kind of similar to the way the Chiefs lost to the Buccaneers. They just got punched in the mouth. But what happened the very next year? Well, the Chiefs pulled themselves up and they won the whole thing.
Right. So I can't count them out. I know a lot of people want to count them out based on what we last saw out of that team. I'm sorry. You still have Mahomes. You still have Andy Reid. And you're still in that division. Until somebody in that division smacks them in the mouth the way Philadelphia did, that division is theirs as far as I'm concerned. And also talking about those Eagles, it is Shark One Sharkly, atop the NFLPA's year-end top 50 player sales list. For what it's worth, more merchandise with Saquon Barkley's name on it being sold than any other player in the NFL. For the first time since 2017, a running back on top of that list.
Yeah, it's Josh Allen checking in at 6, and
I thought he was going to be higher. I was surprised by 6.
Well, 6, but then when you told me that one of the quarterbacks ahead of him at 4 was Jaden Daniels, it's like, okay, that's a fan base that hasn't had a quarterback since when? Gibbs took him to a Super Bowl, basically. Well, RG3 for a hot minute, but the point being that, hey, you can wear a Commander's jersey now out in public, and not people won't give you the side eye, right? Now that you have the new ownership and everything. There's another story here too, Danger, that I'm wondering where this is going. Anthony Richardson not able to participate. He's shut down indefinitely. Ruh-roh, he's flying to Los Angeles, or has flown to Los Angeles, not sure on the timeline on this, but you may recognize the name Dr. Neil Elitatre. This is on his AC joint in his shoulder. That was the same one that knocked him out for the season 2 years ago. Bottom line here, this feels like Danny Dimes' time in 2025 in Indianapolis.
They're just waiting out Richardson's contract, right? I mean, like, yeah, it's an injury, but now it's to the point where it's like we can't wait to get rid of this guy. He tapped out, and he'll never recover from tapping out. That's my take on Richardson.
Well, okay, so what is the second opinion? Is the second opinion, man, we can't figure out why your shoulder is so sore? Well, okay, let me go to the best in the business. Or is it Danger? I am healthy. Let me go get to the best of the business, and he's going to say my shoulder's fine. I mean, is this a quiet where?
No, I think it's get the surgery, sit out a season. We're one less year committed to you, and I mean, I think they're done with him, man. I think they're stuck with him, but I think they are done with him. And this injury is unfortunate. What will the career of Anthony Richardson be in the NFL? We may never know, because I don't know that you can put a guy like that in your locker room with that history, with that one horrible decision. It's ruined him. And he's got a long way to go to kind of win favor back with professionals that he has to play with.
So Daniel Jones, he had a layover in Minnesota last year, if you don't remember. He signed a 1-year, $14 million deal with the Colts. Is he going to be this year's version of Sam Darnold, Danger? Is there an opportunity, at least in that cold offense, to pile up some wins and make it look really good?
I want to believe that can happen again. And I don't know what Daniel Jones and Shane Steichen's relationship with, and I don't know that I would even put Shane Steichen in the same conversation as Kevin O'Connell, because we saw what he was able to do with Sam Darnold in his system. I'm going to say no. Just based on what we know of Daniel Jones through his career. But if it does happen, we'll be talking more about Shane Steichen than we have in a while, because Shane Steichen, after winning that Super Bowl with the Eagles, largely mediocre in Indianapolis for being this offensive genius who was the catalyst for them in the Super Bowl. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We haven't talked about this yet today. A bit of local sports news. I'm going to
like local.
Yeah, I'm going to quiz you, Gino.
All right. Ready.
Did you see the call-up?
Oh.
The local call-up.
I did. And on the one hand, I'm happy we're for this living, breathing entity. On the other hand, I'm like, if you're this team, you're like, congratulations, you've got a really good minor league stunt to draw fans in for the Marlins.
This is what we've got.
Yeah.
The Washington Nationals have called up Bruce the Bat Dog from Rochester. This is an announcement from the Washington Nationals.
Oh my gosh.
The top minor league prospect. Bruce is the organization's leader in head pats, belly rubs, and good boys since making his professional debut September 5th, 2024. The rise is meteoric. He is a powder keg, a juggernaut.
I want to say this is wrong because we didn't have Milo the Bat Dog. Milo never got. Maybe Milo was going to get his chance before he left us too early. Or maybe the Nationals can't draw anybody. And, oh, by the way, the weekend he's going up for, the Marlins. Oh, wow, that's a hot ticket.
Yeah.
Woo.
Well, go, if anything, go to see Bruce the Bat Dog.
Bruce the Bat Dog.
We got Bruce the Bat Dog.
Is this where we are headed in Major League Baseball?
No, because they're not a Major League Baseball team. They're a minor league team in Major League Baseball. I'm going to lump the Nationals in with the White Sox and the Rockies. They are unserious Major League Baseball franchises. I'll throw in the Pirates, too.
They got lucky with a few prospects.
Marlins.
What have they done?
Another
Marlins,
one.
yeah, Marlins.
Jeez.
Yeah.
The Rays. Okay, all of them. There's now you got a pretty good percentage of Major League Baseball where you can look at the A's. Another one. Like, you could look at a lot of these teams and be like, these are unserious organizations. What are we doing here? Yeah. What are we doing? You're going to the Bat Dog promotion in Washington. Hey, good for Bruce the Bat Dog. We love you, buddy.
What's the culinary, what's Washington known for? They can't be the plates. What are they going to be known for?
Bruce the Bat Dog.
Yeah, Bruce the Bat Dog. And
do special caps with Bruce the Bat Dog logos on them. We'll sell some more merch. Yikes.
Well, that'll be kind of like the kicker story on SportsCenter. They're like, hey, here's Bruce the Bat Dog.
Getting the call up.
Yeah.
No, we're proud of Bruce. We got to hold on to something. He's one of us. We claim him as ours. We're very provincial. We'll all be paying attention when Bruce the Bat Dog makes his Major League debut with the Washington Nationals.
I wonder if you can take a picture with Bruce. You know, like they have the celebrity things. Can you go in and, just...
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. Give Bruce a little scratch behind the ear. Yeah.
I mean, would you rather have a picture with any Rochester Red Wing or Bruce?
I'm going Bruce.
I'm
going Bruce.
Bruce.
He's the star of the team. Clearly getting the call up. Big local sports news. Red Wings tonight, after getting blanked 18-0. Did I hear you right in your update? 18-0 against Jacksonville?
Yeah. Yep. Whew. Oh, Jacksonville, that's the farm team of the Marlins.
So they probably draw more than Miami does. They're beating teams 18-0. Jeez.
Miami's that beautiful new stadium.
Just a joke.
No one goes.
Just a joke. of a franchise. I mean, you got a third of the league that I would consider to be unserious. Rockies, White Sox, Marlins, A's, Nationals.
A's are going to have their groundbreaking, supposedly.
Rays.
Yeah.
Don't have a place.
Don't have a place.
Oy.
But, and this is the day and age we live in now. When you see a video, is this video real? You see a photo, okay, is that real? I got to double check. I asked Danger, is this real? It's real. The Pope Leo today, wearing a White Sox hat.
Yeah.
All in his papal white with that White Sox hat. I was like, wait a second, this is breaking a Pope rule or something? Are you not allowed to have fun if you're the Pope?
Pope's a gangster. He's rocking that thing like Dr. Dre in 1990, man. He's looking sharp in his White Sox hat. And as a Cubs guy, I'm not really for it, but I do think it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool that the American Pope is sporting his favorite team, even though his team is an unserious organization.
So the TV show The Bear, and bear with us if you don't watch it. And I know you don't have to add to the list because you're going to be watching. It comes out on the 25th, but they probably put it all to bed. They already filmed a lot of this, but they've got to somehow shoot something new. They got to work in somehow that the Pope is from Chicago, right? I would think.
Got a Chicago Pope. The Pope. I don't know. I do have my daughter telling me, we're watching that on the flight home. We're watching that. We're getting caught up. We're watching the series on the flight home. Okay, let's go.
Oh, you'll watch it over there. What are you kidding? You're not going to be able to wait.
We got to get to a round of shots next on the Fan.
Big decision here for Edmonton facing them. We'll explain what this is all about. We've got Game 3 tonight, NBA Finals. Always June a fun time. Yankee game today, their AA affiliate, which if you're a Yankee fan, you want to take note what happened there. And is Carly Gordon just a chip off the old block? She is now the owner in charge of the Indianapolis Colts. Something a little odd here in regards to this. I don't know if you saw this, but we'll explain.
All right, we'll get to a round of shots, and don't forget about last call where you can have the final word in the sports bar when you join us at 585-866-4FAN, 866-4326.
update.
Day 2 of minicamp in the books for the Buffalo Bills. Just one day left. Josh Allen on his goal this camp.
The goal for minicamp is just to get loose, get back to throwing some footballs and getting on the same page with some guys. There's some few mistakes out there today, but that's to be expected. Just learning from new concepts that we're putting in and understanding different body types and guys we're throwing to, and just trying to see what guys are good at.
After tomorrow, the next time we'll see the Buffalo Bills on the field, that'll be at St. John Fisher coming up in July. Game 3 of the NBA Finals tonight, the Pacers and Thunder. This is tied at 1 game each. Wings are home tonight as they once again take on Jacksonville. On the Major League scoreboard, we've got the Braves over the Brewers 6-2. Guardians easily over the Reds 11-2. Phillies get a win over the Cubs 7-2. Pirates winning over the Marlins 5-2. Padres with the early 1-0 lead on the Dodgers. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, the Fan, Rochester.
Bone-crunching hits, backboard-shattering dunks, bat flips, and hat tricks. 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
We haven't not once yet played a perfect basketball game or had a perfect series. So there's definitely plenty of room to get better. And that's one of the things that we focus on as a building and as an organization. And I think that's why we've been able to get better so quickly.
There's the MVP. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, SGA, as the Thunder travel to Indianapolis to take on the Pacers tonight, Game 3, as we get to a round of shots.
It's not complicated if you're the Pacers, right? Tyrese Halliburton needs to take more shots. Give him the ball. He took just 13 in each of the first 2 games. In Game 2, 12 of those 13 came in the fourth quarter. Just 1 of 5 from the floor in the first half. And OKC, by the time Halliburton started heating up, the game was already over by that point. When Halliburton takes 20 or more shots in a game this postseason, Indiana is 7-1. Game 3 tonight in Indy. Coverage begins at 8:30 on ABC.
There's a lot of statistics that point in the favor of Indiana in Game 3. I want to say that they're 3-0 this postseason following a loss of 15 or more points. They're at home, of course. I don't know that I like Indiana tonight. I just think OKC just keeps pouring it on, and they've, after seeing what they did in Game 2, hard for me to imagine that they're going to slow down or let Indiana back in this series.
A lot of people have drawn the comparison to there was a Lakers series against AI, Allen Iverson, and the Sixers where Philadelphia wins Game 1 and the Lakers, better team, and then they roll the next 4, and that was that. If Oklahoma City wins tonight, who knows if that'll set up the stage for the remaining 2 games. PJ Glasser, by the way, to me it's like, okay, they set the over-under on Halliburton tonight at 20 points. I'm like, okay, yeah, I would take that, but OKC's defense obviously doing a great job.
Yeah.
Edmonton Oilers head coach Chris Knobloch hasn't announced yet who will start in net in Game 4. He was making sure that he didn't want to put any of the blame on Stuart Skinner for the Game 3 loss that went sideways 6-1, yet showing confidence in his backup goalie, Calvin Pickard. Skinner's number this Cup final aren't great. He's 1-2, .866 save percentage, 3.74 goals against. Pickard, just 6 games this postseason, all of them wins, 2.87 goals against, .888 save percentage. Pickard's been out since Game 2 of the Vegas series, having suffered a lower body injury, but he's healthy now. Game 4 tomorrow night in Sunrise. Florida is leading 2-1.
I like Edmonton to even the series. I don't care who's going in between the pipes. I love how agitated everybody was at the end of Game 3. I love the penalty minutes. I know that's not everybody's brand of hockey, but man, seeing them try to get under the skin of Florida, seeing Florida not bite, to see the scrappiness, I'm not worried about Edmonton even if they lose tomorrow night and they fall 3-1 in the series based on what we saw last year out of this squad. This series has been great, and tomorrow can't get here soon enough. I can't wait for Game 4.
Pedro and Uncle Rico from the movie Napoleon Dynamite were on hand to throw out the first pitch at the Red Wing game last night.
God.
The Wings went on to lose to Jacksonville 18-0.
Freaking idiots.
I love technology. Same 2 teams tonight at Innovative Field. Wings looking to snap a 7-game losing streak.
Did Uncle Rico throw that football over those mountains over there?
I don't know. But was Uncle Rico on the mound if you're getting up 18 runs with the Marlins AAA team?
My goodness.
Terrible. Giancarlo Stanton today went 3 for 4 for the Yankees AA team, Somerset. One of those hits, Danger, was over 100 miles an hour on the StatCast. He was 2 for 4 yesterday. So his call-up may be coming here shortly, maybe as soon as tomorrow. Giancarlo Stanton recovering from the 2 injured elbows. He had 27 homers for the Yankees last season. Meanwhile, Marcus Stroman will make a rehab appearance also. He's recovering from a left knee injury. The Yankees tonight continue their series in Kansas City. Clark Schmidt on the mound for New York.
Moment of appreciation for Aaron Judge. And there's a clip circulating my feed that I saw of MLB Network, and they were doing one of those live check-ins, and Judge is at bat. And I don't remember who the studio host was, but he basically predicted, like, Judge is going to take this one deep. Watch what he does.
Yep.
And he predicted it perfectly because of how he was being pitched, and Judge knew exactly what was coming his way, and he just went nuclear on that pitch. And he has such command of the strike zone now. He just knows. He gets in your head, and he's just been dominant. It's been fun to watch him this season, and it was fun to watch him last season too. But what he's doing this year, I think, is remarkable. The Yankees, thoroughly handling the Royals.
So if you're watching the Yankee game tonight, I'm wondering if we're going to have a little extracurricular, because this happened last night, actually. Because storylines this in Danger, they date back, not games, they date back years. This is the story. Started last year, postseason. Yankees lose a game to the Royals in the postseason. Jazz Chisholm basically said Kansas City was lucky. How dare he? So every time Chisholm came up last night in Kansas City, they were booing him. That's fine. That's the fans. Chisholm trying to steal third base. He did steal third. Michael Garcia laying down the tag, and there's a little extra behind
violent
this.
Tag?
Yeah, a little extra behind this, but then because we have great camera work here now in every sport, you see what Chisholm says to Luis Rojas. I'm going to tell you one more time. If he tags me like that one more time, I'm going to smack the bleep out of him. So, of course, then somebody ran that back to Garcia and said, okay, I think he's just talking.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see if they're just talking here tonight.
I like it.
Yeah.
Not the rivalry I signed up for, Yankees-Royals, but I do like a little heat. I do like a little spice in Major League Baseball.
Meet Carly Ursay Gordon. She is, taking over after the passing of her dad, Jim Irsay. The ownership of the Colts passed down equally between his 3 daughters. But it's Ursay Gordon who's going to be calling the shots here. She's the new CEO of the Colts. Yep. Fine, great. Colt fans may already know of her from this unusual practice. She wears a headset every game.
Oh.
An owner can't talk on a headset, but they can certainly listen in if they want to. Ursay Gordon, when asked about it, says that the practice will continue. She says she does it to help her assess her players, coaches, and personnel better.
Okay, so I have mixed feelings on this. I try to put myself in I know we can't compare our jobs in whatever field of work you're in to the job of NFL coach or NFL quarterback or professional athlete or whatever. But would you want, if you're conducting a meeting, would you want your boss in the meeting observing your actions and your words every meeting?
Well, this is Big Brother. Like, there's got to be kind of, because I would think on an NFL headset, let's just start here. You think the language gets a little blue, a little off color, a little,
Yeah, but I don't even know that would be the thing that would, she is the daughter of Jim Irsay, so she's probably heard it all and seen it all.
But it's like, now that they're showing the photos of her last year wearing a headset, it's a little weird.
Well,
Danger, this is micromanager with a capital
I was just going to
M.
say, it takes meddlesome owner to the next level, depending on how she reacts to it. Like, we're fans of, well, I think what the Bills have done with, what Terry has done with the Bills, in that he's hired people, he trusts people, sometimes to a fault, but he lets good people do their jobs. We don't hear, he might be meddlesome with the Bills, but we don't hear about it, and we certainly don't see it. We don't see Terry Pagula roaming the sidelines after the game, in the coach's ear.
Wearing a headset.
We don't see him wearing a headset. He's not Arthur Blank. He's not Jerry. We don't see that from our owner. So that is a little unnerving. But at the same time, you own the team. You can kind of do whatever you want, right? You just have to know going in, like, yeah, I micromanage. I'm going to listen to everything you say, and every call and everything that goes on in the headsets is going to be heard by me on game day. That might make me think twice about wanting to accept one of the 32 jobs out there from a head coach in the NFL. It's micromanagement to the next level. I think certain people have to have that. And then I think there are other managers that say, you know what, I'm going to hire good people, let them do their job, and stay out of their way. I can check in with them when I need to check in with them weekly, whatever that is. You set the terms, you set the schedule. But I don't need to know everything happening all the time. I don't need to assess everything. I don't need that much control. That's a control freak.
That is one step away from, if you have the headset upstairs, what's to prevent you from actually having a headset down on the field? You laugh, but I mean, that to me, that's a giant red flag.
So the NFL doesn't allow teams to talk on the headset?
Correct.
But she can listen in.
She can listen in. Because you could imagine, like, how you could aid and kind of.
Right.
Yeah,
I just wonder, like, when the call comes for a quarterback change, if the owner is listening on the headset, when do you have the call? Could you go in at halftime? And the owner go in at halftime and say, make the play, make the change, make the change, do it now? I mean, it is micromanagement to another level. I don't love it, but I also think you're the owner of the team. That's just what you do. There's a curiosity there that I kind of admire. I imagine that she wants to learn as much as she can about the game because she probably didn't play it growing up, even though she was around it. And if you're curious and you're leading with curiosity, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But if it is, to hear her say it helps her assess players, coaches, and personnel better, it's not, for her, it's not about learning. It's about evaluation. It's about assessment.
Oh, well, what did you hire a GM for?
Well, that GM's a walking dead man, I think.
That is too. Finally, do you want to hear some words from Deion Sanders? I am truly blessed for all the well wishes. This is him writing on social media and all the prayers. Thank you, thank you, thank you. He says he's going to be okay, but he's not in Boulder yet. This is what TMZ is pointing out. It was back in May that he did a podcast with Asante Samuel. Deion saying that at that time he was battling something, quote, at a whole nother level.
I don't like hearing that about Coach Prime. But glad that he's active on social and sharing news, and hopefully he's back in Boulder soon. Got to take a break and come back with last call at 866-4326.
Yeah, we had a couple calls there. Brad, call back if you were on hold there because I talk too much. Last call's for you, 866-4FAN.
You're listening. 866-4FAN. 866-432-6. The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
We love us some Last Call here in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on The Fan, Rochester. It's time for you to have the final word at 866-432-6. 585-866-4FAN.
We welcome in Damon calling in from Victor. Damon, big Colts fan. What's going on, buddy?
Guys, I've never called you before. I love your show, but I got to tell you, man, I'm stuck in traffic, and I'm listening to you guys talk about the Colts. I'm a 60-year-old Rochester guy who loves the Colts, and I listen to you and your fans talk about the Bills and about how bad things are. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I got the Ursays, and if it wasn't for Peyton Manning, I would have the most insignificant team in sport, right? And now I got his daughter running the team. I got a quarterback who was drafted, 4 overall, who shouldn't even have been drafted. And I hear about your receiving core, your running back core. I'm like, really, guys? You got life by the short ones, and I'm a Colts fan in Rochester.
Damon, what is your projection for this year, knowing that it could be Daniel Jones week 1 and throughout the course of the season if Anthony Richardson is out?
I hope it is. I want Daniel Jones week 1 because I'll tell you what, 2026, there's a guy named Manning that's going to be in Indy. He's not going to be in New York. He's not going to be anywhere else. He's going to be in Indy because maybe Indy scratches out 2-3 wins because they play in the worst division ever assembled in football, right? If it wasn't for Tennessee, if it wasn't for Jacksonville, Houston, the Colts wouldn't win a game next year. So there's a guy named Manning coming to Indy in 26.
All right, well, we'll keep our fingers crossed for either. I think New Orleans might have something to say about that as well. They might like Arch to come home, a little homecoming there in Louisiana.
Yeah, okay. So they're from that area, but Eli was, he did us a favor in upstate Western New York. He beat Brady twice. But the only Manning that counts is Peyton.
Yeah. Appreciate it, David. Thanks for listening.
Arch was great, man. But he won 2 games. So let's go Bills. Let's go Colts.
Appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for the call.
Thanks, Damon.
Thanks for listening. Appreciate that. Let's check in with Brad in Rochester.
Hey, guys. I have a new box wine challenge for you guys.
Oh, no more box wine bets.
Yes,
Now, Gene, listen to this guy. Listen to this guy. He's got a full head of steam. He prank calls me. He gets 1 win under his belt.
Hey, Danger, you got me. Danger.
Is this? Yeah.
Yeah, you lost the bet. You lost the bet. Box wine. Bring it to me now, buddy. Hanging up.
I'm done with box wine bets. I want to bet something I might actually enjoy because I know Gene and the executive producer.
There's 3 holdouts right now.
All right.
And you guys get to bet of who signs, who gets traded, and who's still going to be holding out by week 1.
Ooh. This is like the
you got Trey Hendrickson, J.J. Watt, Scary Terry.
This is like the version of
MF Kill.
Yeah, exactly.
Mary F and Kill. Yeah. Okay, I like this, Brad. All right, let's just off the cuff here. Let's figure this out. Who gets traded? Who gets who resigns? And
who's a holdout?
Right, and who's a holdout? Well, holdout meaning what? That they retire? They don't come back at all?
As of week 1, they're not playing.
I would say Hendrickson would be my most likely to not play week 1. The Bengals seem like reluctant to make a deal, or anybody's going to make a deal for him. I think a deal gets done for McLaurin. They'll find a way to get him back.
That's the safe one.
That leaves a trade for J.J. Watt?
And I think somebody will trade for J.J. Watt. I don't know that the Steelers – I mean, they put up with this a while ago. J.J. Watt, my guess is he wants to be the highest paid defensive player in the league, especially knowing that Myles Garrett just claimed that title. And I don't think the Steelers are going to. They could. They certainly could. But I don't know that they're going to do it again with this guy. That's my.
You guys can have your. Each one makes that decision and then see what happens week 1.
Really what that is that's 3 box wine bets rolled into one.
Yeah,
really what
absolutely.
that is, bro, that's 3 separate bets. I just want to get a bottle of bourbon out of the thing. Can I get a bottle of bourbon instead of having to dish out a box of wine if I lose? Appreciate that, Brad. That's Brad in Rochester.
Thanks, Brad.
Last call here in the Sports Bar. Fun show this afternoon with Brian Koziel, the host of Tee to Green, and also PJ Glasser. from the BetMGM network. If you missed those conversations, you can find them wherever you get your podcasts. Search out the Sports Bar on your favorite platform or go back on our YouTube channel. All of our shows are there for you. We stream live every afternoon from 3 until 6 at The Fan Rochester on YouTube. Like and subscribe while you're there. Tomorrow, Dan Fates, 13 Web Sports, Buffalo Plus, Ryan Talbot of NewYorkUpstate.com as we talk about Buffalo Bills mandatory minicamp. JR Sport Brief next on The Fan.
You're listening to the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.